I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister prepares to outline the long-awaited defence investment plan this morning.
Billions of pounds will be invested in drones and military equipment, but it still won't come anywhere near what key NATO allies are pledging to spend on their defence.
Well, the plan isn't officially announced yet, but it's already been plagued by cabinet resignations and infighting, with reports Andy Burnham has not given it his support.
Asylum seekers will be forced to pay back part of their accommodation costs under new plans announced by the Home Secretary. But could Shabana Mahmood water down the proposals to appease Andy Burnham?
Number 10 North will support the regions on 3 clear tasks: reform of essential utilities, reindustrialisation and the regeneration of places.
Well, meanwhile, Andy Burnham promises to rewire Britain, planning to set up a base in Manchester as part of his big devolution push.
This helps to move us forward from a cycle of ongoing strikes, which have been going on for far too long and have cost the country billions of pounds.
The Health Secretary James Murray is accused of giving in to the BMA as resident doctors call off their latest walkout after accepting a 6.6% pay rise, with the government failing to agree a deal that links NHS productivity and pay. We're going to be putting this to James Murray later on this hour.
He's also going to be talking about NHS maternity care, which is set to be overhauled, with the government announcing urgent steps to improve safety for women and babies.
Prince Harry is reportedly still hoping to bring his wife Meghan Markle and his 2 children to the UK next week, but only if security arrangements are put in place for them. We're going to be debating if the state should foot the bill for the Duke and his family when they visit Britain.
And sport this morning, well, a couple of World Cup shocks. Germany are beaten for the first time ever at a World Cup on penalties by Paraguay. The Netherlands also out on penalties to Morocco just an hour ago. And in cricket, the biggest non-shock of the day as New Zealand beat England in the final test.
Good morning. It's a dry and bright start for many southern areas. Further north, though, outbreaks of rain will continue and there is a risk of thunderstorms today. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
All right, shall we kick off with the dip? You'll have heard about all these ministers talking about the dip. It's the Defence Investment Plan. It was meant to be out almost a year ago.
Yes.
And then it was meant to be out a few weeks ago, and people have resigned over it. It's all been utterly, utterly chaotic. The Prime Minister will this morning get behind a microphone and tell us what is in the Defence Investment Plan later this morning.
Well, the Ministry of Defence says the plan includes £5 billion to boost the armed forces' use of drones and autonomous weapons.
Ministers say the investment will rapidly expand Britain's drone capabilities following the widespread use of the technology in Ukraine and the Middle East.
However, it has been reported that Andy Burnham was not briefed on the plans before they were made public, and at the moment he could be Prime Minister in just, 3 weeks' time?
Yes, the 20th of July. Oh, it's exactly 3 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah. You'd think it would be pretty integral to what he would be.
You'd think he'd need to be briefed on it all, wouldn't you?
Would.
Let's talk to Deputy Editor of Spiked Online, Fraser Myers. Look, in all of this, Fraser, we lost a Defence Secretary and an Armed Forces Minister over the dip, not being enough. It would seem Dan Jarvis, as the new Defence Secretary, has managed to squeeze an extra £1 billion out of it, but that's nothing in terms of what the others were saying we needed.
Absolutely. It's really important to stress that this is nothing like what the Ministry of Defence believes it needs. In fact, the current amount, the total, doesn't meet even half of what the Ministry of Defence has been asking for. It's not enough to meet our commitments to NATO allies either. So it's an extraordinary parting shot from the Prime Minister. You'd have thought that he liked to present himself as someone who was on top of foreign affairs, as someone who took defence seriously. In fact, he even name-checked defence as one of his great achievements in his resignation speech. And yet he's leaving the cupboard bare when it comes to defence. Now, I'm sure ministers are going to be talking up, the use of technology, the use of AI is going to be integral to this. There's going to be, we're going to have a hybrid navy and all of those kinds of things. Drones as well, obviously, are increasingly important in warfare, and this defence plan includes a lot of things on that, including, £5 billion worth of investment on drones. But, the overall picture is one where Keir Starmer has not met what defence chiefs say they need. Of course, you could say that perhaps they're asking for too much, perhaps they're shaking the tin. Do we need all this much money? Is it overhyped, the sense that we're, going into World War III, as is often said? That might well be the case. But it is the first duty of any leader of any government to defend the nation. And if your entire defence wing resigns on you, saying that you haven't given us the resources to defend the nation, as happened to Starmer recently, that's pretty damning, I think. And it is all the more absurd when we have Andy Burnham coming in as the next Prime Minister. Of course, he's going to want to have his own plans for defence, although, having said that, he didn't mention the D word once during his big speech this week. So is it really a priority for him?
Why do you think Starmer then is pushing to have it published now? We know he wanted it before the NATO summit, but as you've just alluded to there, this could be out of date in just a few weeks' time. If you've got Andy Burnham wanting to spend more on defence, do you think he's trying to tie his successor's hands?
I think Keir Starmer is kind of in legacy mode. Often when Prime Ministers are at the end of their term, they like to pass a lot of bills, they like to pass on things, so he'd like to be able to say, well, I sorted out the defence issue, I got extra funding for defence, even if it is inadequate. I mean, we've seen similar things with the social media ban that's being rushed through. Again, that has a feel of a Prime Minister wanting to put his mark on the next couple of years, even though he's on the way out. I mean, there are also rumours as well that Keir Starmer might want to apply for the job of NATO Chief Secretary when it becomes available.
What?
So he will be looking for a new job, preferably something on the international stage.
Sense.
So perhaps he does want this to be his kind of party.
You see, but what is hard to get your head round with this, and the British public are not stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you've got a Defence Secretary in John Healey, who even the opposition parties say, well, we might not agree with him on everything, but he was a good, solid, sensible politician.
Very widely respected.
OK. Yeah. And he quit on the basis that Britain cannot be defended under the plans in the dip, of which we've now got, a few crumbs more. And yet, Sir Keir Starmer is going to come out today and say that this dip will keep Britain safe and secure long into the future. Well, anyone can look at that and say, well, your own man in the job was saying this is nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, this is so emblematic of, I guess, the Starmer premiership. He often, excuse me, he suffered from some quite extreme delusions at times, and I think you could see it in that resignation speech. It wasn't just defence, where he said he had secured Britain's defence. He talked about bringing down dealing with the migration issue. He said we have a stronger economy. All kinds of areas where the average person just thinks, well, no, you haven't. They've seen how poorly this government has fared on some of the key issues of the day, and this is one of them. It absolutely beggars belief that Starmer thinks that he can take credit for improving Britain's security. I mean, it's madness.
OK.
Well, stay with us, Fraser, because we're going to ask you about the next story, because Andy Burnham has promised to give the UK a new direction and to fix Westminster after claiming it is no longer working.
I am going to give Britain the circuit breaker it needs.
Does it need a circuit breaker, Fraser?
I'm not sure what that means. I mean, with any...
Well, no, this is the problem. A lot of the stuff he came out with sort of sounds great for headlines, but what does it mean?
It was very light on actual policy detail, very heavy on cliches, very heavy on sound bites. You know, he talked about place, not party. You almost... He didn't quite say forward, not back, but he was almost about to. He is often talked about as an effective communicator, as a normal-sounding bloke, but actually listening to that speech yesterday, it was peppered full of sort of Whitehall, blob, civil service kind of euphemisms and speak that I don't think many people will understand.
But also, I mean, I was struck by the fact, I mean, and we're talking tie it into defence a little bit, he said from here on in, every pound raised from taxpayers will work harder for them. Well, they go, how? Why?
Well...
What?
There doesn't seem
He's not answering questions, though, is he?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe we could have asked him what exactly he meant by that. How is he going to make the state more efficient, make the state more productive? Because we do have a real crisis of productivity in the public sector. Infrastructure costs a lot more than it should. But again, I haven't seen any details. There's no evidence that Andy Burnham has any ideas for how to bring that down. He's certainly keen on spending more money. We know that much. Whether he will be able to and still keep within the fiscal rules that he's promised to do is another question. But we would like to see, you know, things cost too much in Britain. It costs too much it costs far more to build a road or a railway than it does even in comparable countries like France. If that's what Andy Burnham is getting at, then I think that would be welcome. But again, this was a speech that was very, very, very heavy on sound bites and jargon and very, very light on detail.
Can I ask you about immigration reform? Because there are plans in motion from Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, that asylum seekers will be made to pay up to £10,000 towards the cost of their accommodation and support once they start earning. And the plan would be that they can only be eligible for settled status once they've paid back that accommodation costs. But we're hearing this morning she could actually water these proposals down in order to appease Andy Burnham and keep her job. What do you make of it all?
Well, yeah, I mean, it does sound like a sensible idea, doesn't it? It's kind of would work a little bit like a student loan, where if you can afford to pay it back, then you would, and if you can't, then then you will not be able to claim settled status, because the cost of housing asylum seekers, whether that's in hotels, whether that's in HMOs, is absolutely extraordinary. The cost, I think, new figures have come out, and these are the government's own figures. I think 34,000 people have been given essentially the right to stay in the UK under Article 8 of the ECHR, and the cost of simply accommodating those people is around £4 to £5 billion over their lifetimes, which is an absolutely extraordinary figure for something actually a lot of people disapprove of. People are not happy that there are large numbers of asylum seekers coming to the UK. The cost is enormous, and this scheme will not, I don't think, come close to paying it back, but I think it does send the right message to people that you're not simply going to get a free ride.
But is this what I'm very confused about? We had this settled status thing that being extended to 10 years, I think, before you get settled status.
Yes.
That seems to be being brought down again. So is this the replacement plan to say, well, you can get settled status if you've paid back the amount of this £10,000?
Well, I think the settled status changes refer mostly to do with legal migration. And people who came here, for instance, on the care visas in particular. Mostly that's to deal with the fact that between 2021 and 2025, I think it was 2.5 million new people arrived in the UK, which is about the size of Birmingham. And many of them now are starting under the old rules to be able to get indefinite leave to remain, to get settled status. And that means if you do have settled status, you can start applying for welfare. So the potential cost of that migration wave, that's already happened, that's in the past, is going to be extraordinary. And that's why Shabana Mahmood is looking at changing the rules retrospectively. But, Andy Burnham has hinted that he thinks that's unfair, that it's not right to changed the rules after people have arrived. He said we made a promise to these people, and it is kind of interesting. You know, the British public have said time and again that they want lower immigration, and politicians have promised it to them and never delivered it. That feels like an important promise that's been broken and a breach of trust. I'd say that's probably more important than... I don't think there was any promise to anyone who came recently that they would definitely be able to claim benefits and definitely be able to live here indefinitely.
Yeah.
OK, Fraser Myers, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next hour. Thank you.
After all that, I think it's probably the perfect time for the Daily Reflection.
There's a lot to think about.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufnell, a vicar in the Church of England. This week, those of us contributing to these reflections have been asked to share how we experienced God calling us to become Christian ministers. For me, becoming a vicar was for a long time the last thing I wanted to do, and I really mean that. That's because my dad had been a vicar, and as a child I'd seen how hard that could sometimes be. I watched him being mistreated by people, and as a young child that leaves an impression on you. But something changed when I went to uni. I was doing a politics degree, and I was convinced, as I still am, that politics can be a great force for good, that it can be used to love and serve people. In that respect, one of my great heroes is William Wilberforce, who spearheaded the campaign to abolish slavery. But while I was at uni, I kind of did my degree on the side, really, because the thing that most excited me was growing in my relationship with God and my understanding of the message of Jesus Christ contained in the Bible, and then sharing that message with others. I became and remain convinced that the message of Jesus Christ is the best news in the world, that it's true, and that it couldn't be more relevant to every man and woman, boy and girl. And while for a long time I didn't want to be a vicar, I increasingly found God laying it on my heart to give my life to this kind of work. I believe the way I can love people best is to introduce them to the God who is really there and for whom each of us is made. And it is the greatest honor and joy of my life to see people come to know and trust and enjoy Him.
That's Chris Tufnell, one of our favourite vicars.
Very good, isn't he?
Very, very good.
There's a lot of our vicars and priests who say really sensible things that just give you something to ponder, something to think about, even if you're not of a Christian bent. Just gives you something to think about, which I think is very important.
Yeah, definitely does.
Right, 16 minutes past 6, the government's going to appoint the first ever National Maternity Commissioner after a major review found women and babies have been repeatedly failed by NHS care. It's the Amos review. It says there's a pattern of patient concerns being ignored, with discrimination and racism behind a culture of inequality.
Shoppers have been given some relief at the tills, with the cost of everyday basics like bread and milk slowing down. Shop prices are 1.2% higher than a year ago, with a good year for crops helping to keep summer favourites such as strawberries and ice cream slightly cheaper.
And Prince William will say homelessness does not have to be viewed as inevitable as he marks the third year of his Home Wards project. He's expected to argue that if broken systems create homelessness, better systems can prevent it.
Now let's get a check on the weather with Annie Shuttleworth.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update, brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with the risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day. Risk of some quite heavy downpours, as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland a little bit drier. We're starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time, though they do start to fade away once the sun goes down. And for most of us, it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many. So a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but just look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and Western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
6:23 now. Resident doctors in England have voted to accept an offer from the government to improve pay and working conditions.
Well, it includes more training posts, more regular pay rises and support with costs such as exam fees.
Well, the Health Secretary, James Murray, welcomed the decision after hundreds of thousands of appointments were cancelled during recent industrial disputes.
Well, let's speak now to former Health Minister and nurse Maria Caulfield. Really good to see you this morning, Maria. What do you make of this deal that has been struck? A good deal or a bad deal?
Well, on the surface, it's a good deal because we know the doctors' strike has cost about £3 billion to the NHS over 3 years. It's resulted in over 100,000 operations cancelled and roughly about 700,000 appointments cancelled. So, of course, everyone would welcome the resolution of that. But there's kind of three concerns I've got. Once you scratch the surface, firstly, we just don't know how much this is costing. You know, it's going to be in the hundreds of millions of pounds, and the government's not saying, giving any details on that and how that's going to be paid for. Is that going to be paid within the NHS budget, which is pretty stretched at the moment, or is it more taxation, if that's even possible for ordinary taxpayers? So we need to know the details of how this is going to be paid for. Secondly, you know, the BMA already, even yesterday, their president came out and said this doesn't mean the end. If the pay review process next year comes back with a figure they're not happy with, they haven't ruled out further strike action in the future. And thirdly, for me, there's no conditions attached. They've just literally given them a 35% pay rise over the 3-year period. And one of the things I would like to see attached to this is when resident doctors have qualified, is a commitment to stay within the NHS for a period of time, because there's nothing stopping them once they finish their training, going abroad, working in the private sector. And so, you know, just to give such a large amount with no conditions attached, I think is naive.
But isn't this what we can't get your head around? I mean, you can see how you want to take action to stop ongoing strikes, but the fact that there's no conditions attached, the fact that, you know, that it doesn't tie the BMA into anything in particular, would seem to be just repeating the mistakes that they made 2 years ago when they first came into office.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the BMA have seized an opportunity. They're, you know, very politically savvy. And I think Labour just want this resolved. And they have made the same mistake that I think Wes Streeting made when he first became Health Secretary. And, you know, not only does this open the door for future strikes next year when the pay review process starts, but what about the consultants? What about the GPs? What about the nurses? You know, it really kind of gives ammunition to all unions, really, that if you push hard enough for long enough, the government will cave in with no strings attached.
Well, this is it, isn't it? A precedent has been set. You've almost opened Pandora's box. It's going to be quite difficult now to put the lid back on.
Absolutely. And, you know, the average kind of pay rise in the public sector is about 5%, so lower than the 6.6 that the resident doctors have got. But in the private sector, it's, you know, less than 3% in many cases. And so you've got taxpayers getting up for work this morning, going out to pay for these pay rises and not seeing an improvement in the NHS. You know, you talk to anyone, they struggle to get a GP appointment, there's long waiting lists. So I think, you know, while people on the surface of it will be very pleased these strikes have resolved, they're not going to see necessarily any benefit to their day-to-day experience of the NHS. And I think that's an important factor.
OK, Maria Caulfield, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you. It's going to be. We're talking to the Health Secretary a little later on this hour, actually.
Yeah, we are.
So we'll put those points to him. I mean, if it's costing £1 billion a year, but when the strikes are taking place, is it worth doing it just because it ultimately saves money? Or do we need to try and put something in place that stops the threats of strikes? I mean, it's like it was back in the 70s.
Yeah, well, the Conservatives are saying that medics shouldn't be allowed to strike, and they bring in legislation that would stop them from striking completely. Because at the moment we've got a deal right now, but how long is that going to hold?
Well,
6 months, a year?
Next year.
Yeah. Then we'll be in the same situation again. Anyway, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Right, time for the Great British Giveaway now. It's a cracker. It's £60,000 in tax-free cash, plus a real gold bar.
Which I would love.
Yes, I bet you would.
Yeah, but we can't take part. But you can. Here are all of the details that you need.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here is your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 is currently restricted in both directions at Locknell Street, Lochgilphead, due to emergency roadworks. In Essex, all lanes are closed on the A11 southbound between the A1307 and junction with the M11 spur, following a road traffic collision. Normal traffic conditions are expected between 9:15 and 9:30 this morning. Drivers are advised to avoid the area until the incident is cleared around 9:21 this morning. For more travel updates and detailed information on ongoing delays, stay up to date at gbnews.com. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Still to come for you, Paul's got the sport.
My favourite German word is Schadenfreude, taking joy from others' misfortunes. There's a lot of Schadenfreude around going on at the moment as Germany get knocked out of the World Cup on penalties. More coming up, and a big smile.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coates here with us. Shocker for
The Germans are out of the World Cup.
I know, shocker.
I know, how about that?
I know you're thrilled, aren't you? They've not had a good run.
But you know what? The amazing thing is this is the first time the Germans have ever lost in a penalty shootout in the World Cup.
Really?
First time it's ever happened. How about that?
Yeah.
And it was against Paraguay. So it happened yesterday evening. It was 1-1. By the way, Germany had a perfectly good goal disallowed. There's another VAR shocker, but quite frankly, who cares? You know, I mean that in a very respectful way to Alemania. But it was 4-3 on penalties. First time in the World Cup. Front page of Bild, the German newspaper today, it says the next German football nightmare. They want Julian Nagelsmann, who's the manager. They want him out, and they're desperate for Jurgen Klopp to come in, which would make a lot of sense. So 75% possession Germany had, and it was another one of those that England faced. And this is, we're going to see a lot of this in the World Cup. Teams that may be not seen as good, this low block, which means they just sit, defend. And teams can't seem to break that down, which is really sort of bad for football. But it worked very well for Paraguay. And then it went to penalties, and we've seen, I'm going to moan about this in a minute, too much of that tippy-tappy, stoppy-starty penalty just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and it drives everybody crazy. Now, in Paraguay, the capital of Asunción, there was a group of people watching TV in a bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well.
Obviously, it happens everywhere. This is not, by the way, this is not a joke.
I was about to say, it sounds like the start of a joke.
Six people in a bar. So anyway, they're watching the penalty shootout. Now, what is the biggest nightmare that could happen if you're all watching it on TV?
Oh, it didn't lose power.
Let's have a look at this.
Oh, no.
This is what happened. It's very close to losing power, but there's a little sign that says you haven't paid for your subscription.
No!
The penalty goes to be taken. Oh, no, it's gone off. So, quick, someone put some money in the slot. It's all gone quiet. Did he score? Didn't he? Yes! We scored and we won.
Delayed reaction.
Look at that. So there we are. So that's all wait.
Terrific.
Do you reckon there was someone that was actually going, right, I'm going to make them wait. I'll hit it the moment the penalty's about to be taken.
Oh, no.
So anyway, they're celebrating. They're very happy in the end, even though that happened. Now, the other penalty shootout, now this is about 5 o'clock. And I'm listening to this, I'm driving in. Netherlands that drew 1-1 with Morocco, and they lost on penalties as well. And this was one of the worst penalty shootouts. Honestly, again, stoppy start, I'll start. See, the thing is, if you're a goalkeeper, you don't move, you just stand still. Because when they're all stepping up, they lose momentum, and then they're left and they don't know where to, because the whole idea is that you're going to try and send the goalkeeper one way or the other. But anyway, there you go. So the Netherlands are now out. So it's two huge European nations when it comes to football.
Does that make things easier for England?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, they're on the other side of the draw. So whether we were going to meet them or not, so I don't know whether it actually does make that much difference to us, because the more we go on, then there's Argentina ahead and possibly Mexico. But obviously, we've still got to win against Congo tomorrow night.
There was an odd number of Morocco fans outside here this morning.
Was there?
Was there?
Yeah, weirdly. And they were all tooting their horns and...
Really?
Yeah, waving flags out the cars.
Is this a big Moroccan area
I have
around
no
here?
idea.
I think it is, actually.
Isn't that bizarre?
It appeared to be this morning.
Well, I
An
never.
hour and a half ago.
Did you join in?
No, because I was busy Googling saying, well, who's just...
Who are you?
Football match.
Hold on, why were you with
You
the
were
fez? With the
confused.
fez you've got on there. So anyway, it's a D up scored. Stoppage time equaliser after the Netherlands went ahead, and then it went to penalties. So the Netherlands are out, Germany are out. You know, I tipped Japan yesterday, and I said I've got a funny feeling about Japan. They were 1-0 up. At half-time, and it looked really good for Japan. They were all over Brazil. And then Japan decided we're going to sit back and try and defend it. It's pretty much opening it up to Brazil, and then Brazil came through, and then they won 2-1. Now, I've got something else I'm going to show you, and this is...
So you were wrong.
This is...
That's what you're trying to say.
It was half right. It was right until the first half.
Yeah, OK.
You were right until the first half.
But they, you know... They were quite good, Japan. I mean, I was getting messages going, see, look, you were probably... But then...
And then?
I was wrong, OK, fair enough. But the Japan fans, you know, they clear up the stadium afterwards. And
Did they really?
Well, you know, they do that after every game. They do it in the Olympics as well.
Good.
After every game, they pick up all their rubbish, they take big bags, and then they just fill everything. I think what they did is just trashed it yesterday. They said, you know, we're not interested. But what we do have is a Japanese fan who was very, very upset, understandably, and was then consoled by a Brazilian fan and then Mexican fans. So have a look at this. This is after Japan lose to Brazil. This is very moving. And it's very lovely. Here, look at him. Poor fella, look, he can't take it. There's all the Brazilian fans. Look, isn't that nice? It's OK.
That's sweet.
Don't worry. And that's sincere. And this is what the World Cup should be about. It's none of this, like, see, you wouldn't get that in the Premier League, would you?
Very nice.
So there we are, and there he is.
He's happy now.
He's happy now, and now the Mexicans are going to get involved, and then some Mexican fans decide to give him the bumps for some reason. I don't think it's his birthday or anything. But look, he's
to cheer him up. That's quite nice.
But look at this. This is all in the space of about 2 minutes. How emotions can go from utter dejection to look, he's having a lovely time now. Look at him.
Do you know what? I think that's really nice.
Isn't that great? And that should be what the World Cup's all about.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Good stuff.
Nice stuff.
Warms the cockles.
It does warm the cockles. I don't know whether... Would you do it with the German fans?
You should
I think that might be going a bit far.
Hey. Oh, sorry. No.
Come on.
No. Thomas Tuchel was very nice the other day talking about England, his affection for England.
Yes. That's true. I forgot
Maybe
we have a
we should
German
be
manager, don't we? Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a very good point.
So maybe we should be...
Very good. So anyway, tomorrow night, huge one then for us. Congo. And it's 5 o'clock kickoff, which is good for everybody.
Which means we can actually watch it.
Good for everybody.
Brilliant.
Lovely. All right, thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Now, do stay with us still to come. We're going to be speaking to the Health Secretary, James Murray, on the new deal that's been agreed to by the BMA. Is it value for money? We're going to be getting into that and much more next.
First, though, here's the forecast across Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Very hot weather and thunderstorms affecting parts of the Mediterranean and Eastern Europe through the next few days. Sunny and warm elsewhere across parts of Europe. The Canary Islands seeing highs of 30 degrees on Wednesday. Spain and Portugal temperatures in the high 20s, low 30s, much more reasonable than they have been lately. But it's Italy and towards Greece where very high temperatures are expected towards 40 degrees and a risk of heavy thunderstorms that continues until Friday. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
You've been to see Glengarry Glen Ross.
I have. So the movie was 92 and the play was 84, 85, something like David Mamet. It's all about men, or it's about men that are posturing being men. It's this idea of sort of toxic strutting, peacocking. However, the outrage, this most male of plays, has been cast with all women. Horrific. Taking away men's jobs right in front of us, Michael. It's on at the Old Vic, and we've got a cast of the ladies having a little word about it.
I think it might explode the play and open it up in really amazing ways, but we just don't know, and that is thrilling.
On first glance, you look at Glengarry and you think male, masculine world, male toxicity, but then if you strip that away and look at it from another lens, you say, no, this is about humans.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Joining me now is Chef Julia Walsh, who's the head of patisserie at Le Cordon Bleu. Thank you. How lovely to see you. You look marvellous in your chef's hat and your chef's jacket. Tell me about Le Cordon Bleu.
Le Cordon Bleu has been in operation for over 130 years. We had our 130-year anniversary last year. I'm from the campus in London, in Holborn, and we have a very wide-ranging curriculum with our students. I teach patisserie, so for me, I teach students to learn about things such as bakery, cakes, entremets, such as this one here, and showpieces. We do chocolate and sugar sculptures as well.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
3 lines on my shirt, never stop me dreaming.
Could this be England's biggest superfan? Benny Elcock has covered his York home in St George's flags in support of England ahead of the World Cup. 3 Lions memorabilia are draped across his windows, garden gates and flower pots. Even the family's Yorkshire Terrier Reggie has his own outfit.
We've done it for years. And I'll stick my Everton one up, because I'm a massive Everton fan. People just think I'm mad. Say, well, you've gone a bit mad, you've gone a bit overboard. I said, I don't care. I love it.
Football mad Benny can't wait for England's first match.
GB News, the People's Channel.
.44, and as we await the Health Secretary, James Murray, we'll go through the front pages for you, and we'll start with the Daily Telegraph that reports that resident doctors could earn more than £100,000 annually now after BMA members voted to accept the government's pay deal. That would include sort of overtime shifts as well in that figure.
Yeah, and they're the most experienced doctors as well. In the Times, Andy Burnham has promised a 10-year plan to rewire Britain in order to help keep down the cost of living.
The Mail has Andy Burnham announcing he will create a number 10 North in Manchester, calling it an outpost. It makes it sound like it's in the Arctic, doesn't it? Anyway, that's in the Mail.
The Star asks us, can anyone be PM? As questions raised over Andy Burnham's mandate to lead the United Kingdom without an election victory behind him. They've also got a cut-out mask of Andy Burnham's face available on their front page today.
Well, they've added extra eyebrows to it.
Mascara.
Mascara. Have they put more mascara? Oh, yes, he has got big eyelashes on.
He's got fake eyelashes on and...
Fake eyebrows.
Fake eyebrows.
Which I think is a little bit cruel. The man's got decent eyebrows, don't criticise
his whole career is based on his eyelashes.
On eyelashes.
And his black T-shirt that isn't black.
It's
black
blue.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
But the black T-shirt was very much on yesterday, wasn't it?
It was blue.
Was it blue?
Mm.
OK, well, let's speak now to Freddie Gray and James
We're
Ramsden.
really talking about the important things here. Yeah.
What did you... James Murray is ready, we're being told. So hold that thought, gentlemen, and we'll be right back with you. Let's speak to the Health Secretary, shall we? James Murray, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Mr Murray.
Hi, good morning.
And you're here to talk to us about this deal that's been reached with the BMA. They've agreed to a 6.6% pay rise. That's 35% pay rise in the past 4 years. So a good deal for them, you might say. What have you got in return? What productivity clauses did you agree to?
Well, I think this is good news, not just for resident doctors, but also for all staff working in the NHS, and many of whom have been picking up the pressure when strikes have been happening in recent years. But most importantly, it's good news for patients. It's good news for patients in the NHS because it means that we as a government can now work with resident doctors to make the NHS stronger and to make sure we're doing the best we can to serve patients. So I hope this is the start of a new relationship between the government and resident doctors that we can build on to make the NHS stronger.
OK, but I mean, one of the criticisms of the government when it first got in, when it was saying with sort of trained drivers and with junior doctors as they were then, was that, deals were met, but with getting nothing in return. You've learned from those mistakes, have you?
Yeah, look, I think that what we've learned is that we need to have good relationships with workforces, because when you have a deal like we've had today or yesterday with the resident doctors, it's not the end of the process.
No, but
you
you've
don't
got
just
something,
say, right,
but you
that's
have
job
got something
done,
in return.
now we stop having a conversation. Yes, but what's really important is that we build on that relationship and we make sure that we work to implement the deal. We keep working with resident doctors and we make sure that we don't just forget about the relationship now that a deal has been agreed. And that's, I think, one of the things that I learned from this, and that we need to keep having the conversation with resident doctors.
But you said, yes, you have got something in return. What is it?
Yes, well, look, the cost of strikes would have been more than what the deal costs this year. So the most important thing we've got straight away is that we're saving money by having a deal. That is a way to make sure we're putting money into frontline services rather than covering the cost of strikes. And that's really important for everyone in the NHS. So,
you've got a deal for the next year, though, haven't you? We've heard from the chairman of the BMA already this morning saying that this is by no means the end of the road for pay restoration. We're putting the pay review process on notice, and once again, we could risk falling back into a dispute in the future. So you haven't managed to end this cycle of strikes. They're still talking about potential strikes in the future, and you haven't added in an efficiency clause or a productivity clause. So it's difficult to see how you've made this relationship any better and how you're saving the NHS money when they're looking to go on strike already next year.
Well, we know that strikes over recent years have cost the NHS billions, and when resident doctors have been on strike, other NHS staff have had to step up to help keep the NHS going. Now, what this means is that we've broken that cycle of strikes. We can now focus on working together with resident doctors to make the NHS stronger. Well, look, the important thing is to keep working with them to make sure that we avoid strikes in the future as well. You know, we've now got this deal, which is a really important step forward. It means that the current dispute is over. It means that we can focus on improving the pay progression, improve training, improve working conditions for resident doctors. That is the basis on which we can have a better relationship in the future, and that will be my focus now.
But you say it's good news for all staff in the NHS because there's less pressure on them as a result of the strikes being over. But GPs and nurses and others aren't going to say that. They're going to say, well, where's our substantial pay rises? Perhaps they'll strike next.
Well, look, I'm having conversations with the unions representing other workforces in the NHS as well, because they do such an important job, whether that's nurses, paramedics, porters, people right across the NHS, and make the NHS what it is. And I want to keep having those conversations to support all staff. But I think it's worth putting on record, you know, my thanks and the thanks of all of us for the work that other NHS staff have done in recent years when resident doctors have been on strike, because they've played such an important role in keeping the NHS going and making sure we can continue to serve patients.
But the problem is, you say it's broken the cycle of strikes. And if you look back in history and see how all this has played out, it looks like you're facilitating a cycle of strikes, because ultimately we're getting nothing from them in return for this. And as long as they keep the pressure up for long enough, the government seems to cave in and give them what they want financially.
No, look, we've been in a cycle of strikes for months, for years, where the strikes have caused an impact on NHS services. You know, even though we've kept things going, kept most appointments in place, it's had a really big impact, not just on patients, but also on NHS staff who've had to step up to cover the strikes when resident doctors have been on strike. Now, the fact that we are now at an end of that process, and the BMA said, look, the strikes now are over, means that we can move forward. And we can move forward and focus on working together with resident doctors to improve the quality of care for patients right across the NHS, and focus on making the NHS stronger for the future.
It is an endless cycle of strikes, though, isn't it? As we say, they're already planning next year's industrial action. Should doctors' strikes be banned once and for all? That's what the Tories are saying.
I don't agree with that. You know, I think that it's really important to have rights at work. It's important that different workforces have the ultimate right to industrial action. But I think that when people go on strike, that's a failure of both sides to come to a deal. I think what we should be focusing on and aiming for is a negotiated settlement that avoids the need for strikes, that avoids going down that route, because that's in the best interests of employees and of patients. And that's what I want to make sure we focus on doing now that we've got this deal in place.
Can I ask you about your colleague, John Healey? Well regarded as a defence secretary. He quit saying the UK could not defend itself over what he'd seen in the Defence Investment Plan. It is being published today with £1 billion extra, which is woefully short of what the MOD says it needs. And yet the Prime Minister today will say that the dip will keep Britain safe and secure long into the future. That's laughable, isn't it, actually, when his own team quit as a result of what's in the dip?
Well, let's be clear, before the dip is even published, we are already investing record amounts in defence of our nation, £270 billion over the course of this Parliament, which is the highest sustained increase in spending since the Cold War. The investment in the Defence Investment Plan, the DIP, is on top of that. It's extra investment to go even further. And there's a real focus on making sure that we're ready for the wars and for the conflicts of the future, with a focus on drones, for instance, £5 billion over the next 4 years, to make sure we've got that capacity so that we can meet the modern threats that we face as a country and keep our nation safe.
OK, Health Secretary James Murray, we're out of time with you, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for joining us this morning on GB News Breakfast.
Thanks very much.
Let us know what you think. gbnews.com/yoursay. More on that in a moment. First, here's your weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with the risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day, risk of some quite heavy downpours, as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland, a little bit drier. We're starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time. They do start to fade away once the sun goes down, and for most of us it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many, so a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but just look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and Western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 is currently restricted in both directions at Loughnell Street, Loch Gilphead, due to emergency roadworks that require immediate attention. On the M6 southbound between junction 26 and junction 25 near Wigan, there is a collision with one of 4 lanes closed, expected to clear by 7:45 this morning. Meanwhile, on the clockwise entry slip road to the M25 at junction 1A in Kent, a broken down vehicle is blocking one of 2 lanes, with normal traffic conditions anticipated after 7:15 this morning. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific 2-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Sir Keir Starmer prepares to outline the long-awaited defence investment plan this morning.
Yes, billions of pounds will be invested in drones and military equipment, but it still won't come anywhere near what key NATO allies are pledging to spend on their defence.
Well, it's not officially out yet, and it's already been plagued by cabinet resignations and infighting, and apparently Andy Burnham has not given it his support.
Elsewhere today, asylum seekers will be forced to pay back part of their accommodation costs under new plans announced by the Home Secretary. But could Shabana Mahmood water down her proposals to appease Andy Burnham?
Number 10 North will support the regions on 3 clear tasks: reform of essential utilities, reindustrialisation and the regeneration of places.
So Britain's going to be rewired under Andy Burnham, planning to set up a base in Manchester as part of his devolution push.
This helps to move us forward from a cycle of ongoing strikes, which have been going on for far too long and have cost the country billions of pounds.
The Health Secretary James Murray is accused of giving in to the BMA as resident doctors call off their latest walkout after accepting a 6.6% pay rise, but he disagrees.
Well, I think this is good news, not just for resident doctors, but also for all staff working in the NHS.
NHS maternity care is going to be overhauled as the government announces urgent steps to improve safety for women and babies.
Prince Harry is reportedly still hoping to bring Meghan Markle and his 2 children to the UK next week, but only if security arrangements are put in place for them. We're going to be debating if the state should foot the bill for the Duke and his family when they visit Britain.
And sport this morning, a couple of World Cup shocks. Germany are beaten for the first time ever in the World Cup on penalties by Paraguay. The Netherlands also out on penalties to Morocco. And in cricket, the biggest non-shock of the day, as New Zealand beat England in the final test.
Good morning. It's a dry and bright start for many southern areas. Further north, though, outbreaks of rain will continue and there is a risk of thunderstorms today. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
The sun closed her eyes as it climbed in the skies, and it started to... What did it do?
I don't know, Paul.
Started to not linger.
Is this...
The sweat trickled down the front... Oh, no, but I'll go to that.
No.
Some of the first time is today. It's this hot afternoon, the last day of June, and loads of people have reminded me, don't forget, Bobby Goldsborough Day. This is the afternoon we should listen to Some of the First Time by Bobby Goldsborough, as I've done for every day for many, many years. So don't forget to listen to it.
Excellent.
I'm glad you got your moment.
Listen, I think you should do the set. Just listen to it because
I've never heard it.
You've never heard it?
No.
It's a very moving coming-of-age song.
Oh.
Okay.
Bobby Goldsborough, yeah. There you go.
Thank you, Whitey.
Why do I feel patronised in some sort of strange way?
No. Very nice.
OK, thank you.
Now,
Right,
the
as you
Prime
were.
Minister is set to announce the long-awaited Defence Investment Plan in a speech later this morning.
The Ministry of Defence says the plan includes £5 billion to boost the armed forces' use of drones and autonomous weapons.
Well, ministers say the investment will rapidly expand Britain's drone capabilities following the widespread use of the technology in Ukraine.
Meanwhile, it's reported that Labour's leadership hopeful, Andy Burnham, has not been briefed on the plans before they were made public and therefore may not agree with them.
Well, let's speak to Defence Editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Very good morning to you, Robert. So finally, we're going to get this long-delayed Defence Investment Plan, but it looks like it's going to be a massive shortfall. We're expecting the settlement to be £14.5 billion. That's a long way away from the £28 billion that was previously said was needed.
And the 18 billion. The confusion will continue, as you rightly say. This plan was promised really last September to underpin the Strategic Defence Review, which was never properly costed, although the Starmer government accepted all 62 proposals. The plan was reduced to 18 billion, and that's where the row broke out with John Healey and Al Kearns, because what they were offered by the Treasury was far below that, around 13 billion, even as low as 11 or 10. It's a political football, and it's a political football at the wrong time. And this is where Andy Burnham really will have to be brought up to speed about this, because it looks as if the UK military commitment, both in the Ukraine theatre, in the wider area of the Baltics and the North Sea, and in the Middle East, is going to go up.
So what are we to make of this when the Prime Minister, who's going to be unveiling this himself today, presumably part of his legacy, says this will future-proof the armed forces and keep Britain safe and secure long into the future? Can we believe a single word of that, Robert?
No, I absolutely share your scepticism, because things are moving so fast and there are really big developments on the way, although there are big developments outlined in this plan, that you cannot plan for 10 years. There are things such as quantum coming up and supercomputing, where that takes everything, and so much satellite guidance of all weapons system, it depends on GPS. GPS is bound to be superseded very soon, and at what cost, we don't know. There are so many unknowns. But what must be said is that as far as the Army and the Navy is concerned, as far as I can make out, they're quite happy with this pro-tem settlement, because at least it has given them the cash to do what they feel is absolutely necessary in the short term, in the next 2 years. And in both cases, it's a greater emphasis on drones and drone warfare. But we have crossed a major threshold in this thing. There's just one line that you read out: autonomous weapons. We haven't a clue where autonomous weapons really is going to take us as a category. By autonomous weapons, let me explain. This is a system that drives itself. There have been endless arguments. These are what the arguments in the US have been about over the Anthropic, is where the human can enter into the decision loop, in the loop or on the loop, to break it. Actually, in the kind of tactical weapon systems that even the Brits are doing and that have been training with in Estonia, you can't break that loop. Sorry to go back to comics of the 1930s, tabloid journalism, the era of killer robots is upon us if we're not careful.
OK, Robert Fox, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is like something from a movie, frankly, isn't it? Which is something a little bit scary. I'm not saying it's not something we need to move towards, but it just seems we're putting so much faith in it, and saying, well, we don't need to invest in recruiting, more sailors, soldiers and airmen, because we're going to have all this autonomous stuff.
Yeah.
And autonomous ships, about, some of these autonomous ships that mean we don't need to build Type 83 destroyers. And is that really how we have to go forward now? We don't really know what the consequences are.
Yeah. Do you think our armed forces have been shortchanged? Let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Now, at 7:08, asylum seekers who earn money in the UK could be forced to pay back up to £10,000 towards the cost of accommodation and support.
The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, says those who can contribute should do so, adding that the asylum support is a right, but it is also a responsibility.
Let's talk to the Deputy Editor of Spiked Online, Fraser Myers. Morning, Fraser.
Good morning.
I mean, there's various issues with this. On one hand, it sounds pretty sensible. On another hand, say a lot of these people are going to be earning minimum wage. So how much are they going to be able to pay back, and over what sort of time scale are we looking at here? So is it, in a sense, a bit of tokenism?
It may well be. It may not actually be practical. I think it sends the right message to people that if you're coming to the UK, you're not simply going to be given a free hotel or a free housing and then everything will be rosy, because there's a lot of people who are clearly choosing to come to Britain over other countries, over other developed countries, over other safe countries, perhaps because they have the impression, rightly or wrongly, that they will be looked after and not have to contribute anything in return. And it's being billed as almost like a bit like a student loan, where if you don't earn enough money, after you've got a kind of settled status or after you've started getting a job, then you won't have to pay anything back. But if you do, then you will have to contribute. It's worth saying that the £10,000 actually wouldn't cover the cost of even a year of hotel accommodation. I think it's also there is this new migration and asylum bill that's going to come through Parliament. So I think Shabana Mahmood is probably trying to show a harder edge on this policy, where there are other aspects of the bill, for instance, that might be seen as softer. So the new safe routes are being opened up for asylum seekers and refugees, and again, I think actually this is quite sensible, where charities or individuals will be able to sponsor a refugee, where they will shoulder the cost of looking after someone for a year, and it will be limited to people from conflict zones, rather than at the moment where the asylum system is pretty much just made up with anyone who can afford, who is prepared to take the risk of paying a people trafficker and coming over the English Channel.
Could this backfire, these plans, in a sense that it could actually disincentivise people to go out and get work? To stay in low-paid and low-skilled jobs means you wouldn't ever have to pay anything back.
Yeah, or certainly to get legal work. I mean, one problem with illegal migration is actually a lot of people are working, but they're working in the black economy, or they're not, they're not paying tax, or they're not registering their work. So it may simply compound that pre-existing problem. That's absolutely right. But perhaps it will send the message, hopefully. I'm sure this is what Shabana Mahmood is hoping, that, the streets in Britain aren't paved with gold. We wish they were, but unfortunately they're not.
Yeah. Is it, in effect, though, so as soon as you dig in, you sort of think, I don't know how it's going to make any difference, but is it all about is it just a deterrent, basically?
It must be, and also I think it's a belated recognition of just how crazy some of the costs are for hosting asylum seekers. The government's own figures have worked out that for the amount of people who are granted the right to remain in the UK under the ECHR, the lifetime costs of that for around 30,000 people who are granted it a year is about £5 billion over their lifetime, which is an extraordinary amount of money. The cost, the government has boasted that it's brought down the cost of hotels by £1 billion. So, we're talking about extraordinary amounts of money for something that the public doesn't want to see much of. I think people think we probably already take in our fair share of asylum seekers and more than that. So I think it would be a useful signalling tool, but I'm not sure that this policy is either going to recoup lots of money. Will it deter illegal migration? I doubt it. I think you probably need something a lot tougher to do that.
OK, Fraser, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, it is 12 minutes past 7 and it's time for a look at the weather with Annie.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with the risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day, risk of some quite heavy downpours as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland a little bit drier. We're starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time, though they do start to fade away once the sun goes down. And for most of us, it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many. So a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but just look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us, still to come. Should the state foot the bill for Prince Harry's security when he's in the UK? We're going to be debating that next.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth. laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
"7:18 now. The Duke of Sussex says he still hopes to bring his children to the UK next week, provided suitable police protection is arranged.
Well, Prince Harry previously raised concerns over state-funded security for his wife Meghan and their children Archie and Lilibet.
A spokesperson for the Duke says he's exploring every option to ensure the visit can go ahead.
But the question is, should the UK taxpayer pay for the security of non-working royals?
Let's talk
controversial, isn't it?
Well, it is controversial. I thought this had been settled, really. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams and former head of Royal Protection Di Davis join us now. Good to see you both. Richard, what do you think? Should we be putting our hands in our pockets for this?
Well, it goes beyond putting our hands in our pockets, because we have to ask, what is the threat? When looking at this, for example, I mean, Harry's been having a battle for several years in court, and he didn't win there, but he was assured that last year that RAVEC, who make these decisions for the Home Office, that they would, in point of fact, look again at it. Harry believes that it had not been reassessed since 2020, which is when he lost it. Facts of the matter are, as I see it, that Harry and Meghan are among the world's most high-profile individuals. There's absolutely no doubt that everyone remembers that Harry is, of course, Princess Diana's son. We know how tragic her death was, and everyone remembers him walking behind her coffin at her funeral. That's become part of our nation's story. And I think that the effect this has had on him, he's been completely traumatized by this. We know this in his memoir Spare. The facts are that when he wants to bring his family over, it's been agreed, apparently, except that it hasn't been accepted, but it's been offered a royal residence of some sort. That we do know. But what we also know is that he's only got private protection. The current situation is he gives 28 days notice, and it's assessed on a case-by-case basis. And things are in a weird limbo when RAVEC, who agreed to reassess it last December, still apparently haven't, it is, I quote, paused. It's a somewhat chaotic situation, but it's totally unsatisfactory. We know he's got a stalker. We know also there's a threat from the paparazzi and far-right groups. So this is something that clearly should be considered as part and parcel of a package which could be offered to him by RAVEC, and I hope they do.
OK, well, let's bring in Di Davis, shall we? And Di, as former head of Royal Protection, you know all about this, and you'll know all about the threat. Should the state pay for Harry's security when he's here in the UK?
Well, if RAVEC and those who advised RAVEC advise at this stage that the threat is minimal and that he doesn't warrant, then I have to go with the intelligence. And I would hope that that intelligence and information is up to date. I agree. It is unsatisfactory that this has taken so long to determine and decide. But I would hope and have faith in Ravak and those who advise them. More importantly, the intelligence services and the Royal Protection Command, that they are up to date. And if they are up to date and their assessment, despite what Richard says, is no, he shouldn't have it because he's no longer working royal. We've been here so many times. This is like Groundhog Day, isn't it? You and I have discussed this numerous times on this program and others. At the end of the day, he isn't a working royal. None of his uncles, aunts, or cousins get protection. And I hear what Richard says about him being the highest profile, but much of that is due to his own press and PR. If he came quietly, if he came and stayed in one of the royal residences, he would be protected. If he came in an armoured car, as royals sometimes do these days, then the threat is minimal, I would say. Keep quiet, stay quiet, don't have your press team telling the world what you're doing. Don't go in yellow cabs if you're that worried. Don't go to dangerous countries if you're that worried, because the real threat in this country, despite having a female stalker, most royals have stalkers in one shape or another. He has an adequate private team. Let him get on with it, I say.
Well, that's a fair point, Richard, isn't it? I mean, especially the argument to say you could come and do this, a lot of it undercover, and as soon as you're in that royal residence, you're covered by the general protection anyway.
You're covered whilst in the royal residence, indeed. Of course, and Di knows this field very, very well. But it seems to me this is one of the things Harry keeps on about, and I can see the reason for it, is that his security team has not got information that the Ravak assessment would give him if he got automatic police security. That is what worries him, and indeed Dives, of course, absolutely right. The first four in line to the throne get it. But, of course, it's worthwhile remembering Harry is 5th, Archie is 6th, and Lily is 7th. And I can't help feeling, given the high profile, I mean, Di was saying, and of course I take the point, that if it was a far, far more low-profile visit, things might be different. But why should he have to, as it were, creep back in? I mean, he should have the right to visit his father, which is part and parcel of this, of course, the other intention. We don't know what's happened. The thing's degenerated into a certain situation that's chaotic. And surely he shouldn't have to be low profile, because they can never be low profile or properly low profile if they're discovered. I mean, this female stalker, for example, on the last visit, was near him apparently on one occasion or 2 occasions, and there were 3 dangers, and also far-right extremism, so we've been told, and possibly the paparazzi, which is always a possible danger.
Well, all right. We've got to leave it there. Richard, Di, thank you both.
Thank you.
Very much indeed.
So many of you getting in touch on this one. S. Jacko says, if Harry is that worried about security, why doesn't he come over and not tell anyone? Alison says perhaps Harry should think about his safety before he writes about killing people in his book.
Well, that is a big threat. He does face a terror threat, but that's because he's talked about how many Taliban he was killing.
G says, Harry's visit, we're going to have to stamp up. He's got us over a barrel. OK, don't bring your family, says somebody else.
Yeah.
And Pixie says, Di, well said, that was common sense. Harry decided he wants to live on Civvy Street. That's it, his decision. He can't have it both ways.
I see where you're lying on that one. Keep your thoughts coming through. In the meantime, have a ponder about this. Winning £60,000 in tax-free cash plus a real fine gold bar. Here's how you take part.
It's the Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash that can make your bank account brilliant. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. You could give that to your children, your grandchildren, or just invest it for the future. What would you do with it? Just make sure you don't Don't miss your chance to win £60,000 cash and a fine gold bar. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh yeah, good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Paul's here with all your sports.
Yes, the Germans and the Dutch are out of the World Cup, and a record number of Brits are knocked out of Wimbledon. Oh dear, on day one. More coming up in just a second.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Essex, the A11 southbound is closed between the A1307 and junction with the M11 spur due to a serious collision, expected to clear between 10:45 and 11 this morning. The M23 northbound in Surrey has delays with one lane closed between junction 9 and junction 8. Normal conditions expected between 7:45 and 8 this morning. 4 lanes are restricted westbound on an unspecified motorway due to ongoing issues. And on the trains, there are disruptions on Hull trains at Hull. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
The winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coyte's here with us. A shocker for Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I can't believe it.
Are you smiling? You're smiling.
No.
Are you smiling? Are you sure there's not a little smile on your face, Ellie?
Maybe a little.
Germany won, Paraguay won, went to penalties. Germany have lost on penalties for the first time ever in a World Cup. It's not like it used to be, you know. Netherlands drew 1-1 with Morocco. That went to penalties. That was about 5 o'clock this morning, that one. And Morocco beat the Netherlands on penalties. Some shocking penalties.
Yeah.
You get a chance to see it. Was that tippy-tappy, stop-start? Drives me crazy. And in the other game, Brazil beat Japan, who I know I tipped Japan.
You did.
But they did well, and it was close. But Brazil turned it on at the end. So that's the... and then tonight, we've got Ivory Coast against Norway, we've got France against Sweden, and then Mexico versus Ecuador. Tomorrow, England.
Right. How are we looking for tomorrow?
Right, so should we do Wimbledon?
Oh, right,
yeah. Well, tomorrow we're looking okay. I mean, we're going to be okay.
You're feeling hopeful.
We're playing
positive.
Congo. We've got Congo. Now, worst start ever for British players at Wimbledon. All 10 lost in the first round, apart from Jack Pennington-Jones, who was 2 sets down. It was stopped for bad light. So it could have been 11, but it was 10. I do want us to, before we're going to go over to Wimbledon in just a second, I want you to have a look at this, and this is Naomi Osaka. Now, Naomi Osaka, she always wears something very glamorous, always makes a statement as she walks out on centre court. Look at this.
Wow.
She looks fantastic.
What do you think of that kimono?
It's amazing.
It's not bad, is it?
In perfect tennis white.
Exactly, because that was the idea. Now, I think we have a word for Naomi Osaka who then described... Well, I know this is because they're my two favourite things, sport and fashion. Yeah. So we're covering both things. This is Naomi Osaka and her talking about her tennis wear, her garb, her gear. This is what she said.
There's obviously like the tradition of it all, and in my head when I think about that, I think about my cultures, my heritage, which is Japanese and Haitian. And then if I dive deeper into like Japanese culture, I think about the most like iconic silhouette, which for me is a kimono. And you don't have to see the color of a kimono to know that it is a kimono. And I don't know, I was just thinking about my favorite movies also. I love Kill Bill, and then I remembered absolutely falling in love with Lucy Liu's character.
It's a lot of inspiration there.
I know.
Kill Bill.
They concentrate on your tennis, quite frankly. It's all very well going in like that.
I tell you what, it looks fantastic, though, and I'm all for people embracing their own culture like that. Why not?
Absolutely, but the thing is, and it's great entertainment as well.
Yeah.
It's great to see. She looked fabulous. Will Godley is at Wimbledon, who's not dressed in a kimono. I believe
you never know.
That not to be the case. Morning, Will.
Good morning, Paul. No kimono here.
Far too formal for me, Will. Far too formal.
In their pyjamas.
Right.
Dressed to impress here at Wimbledon, but take a look around because this is the queue. People here hoping to get inside later. They've all got their queue card, but it might not look like a normal queue in Britain. People lying down, having a quick nap. Have a little look around. We'll pan around because people here napping before they have to stand up and go and wait to go and get their tickets into actual Wimbledon. All the tents have been packed down, and some people here on their picnic blanket now. Alfie and James, thanks for joining us on GB News this morning. What time did you guys get here?
We got here about 6-ish.
How are you feeling? You've been here an hour and a half now, confident you'll be getting in?
Yeah, I've woken up a bit now, so yeah, feeling good. Yeah, we'll be in. Probably take a few more hours, but we'll get there.
And a disastrous day yesterday for Brits in Wimbledon. What do you make of that?
Yeah, a bit disappointing, but to be honest, didn't have much expectations this year, so just here for the vibes.
Oh, really? Just for the vibes? What about today? We've got 9 more Brits, I believe, playing today. Any you're hoping to see?
Well, yeah, Katie Boulter's up first. We're hoping to catch a little bit of her if we get in time. And yeah, I believe there's one of them's got a match finish from yesterday. Might go and see that one if we get in time. Hopefully a bit better than yesterday. Can't be worse.
Wonderful. Well, good luck, boys. Let's come over here because Kiara's been over here. I've had to wake you up from your nap. How are you going to be able to stay awake if you manage to get in?
Well, I've had my hour nap, so I'm awake now. I'm feeling good.
Feeling right. Any tips for anybody else who might be feeling a little bit quiet, a little bit tired a little bit later?
Oh gosh, I think some caffeine, some coffee.
What about Pimm's?
Oh, well, Pimm's is definitely a good shout.
Although prices this year for a Pimm's and strawberries, £15.
Wow, that's extortionate. But if you're in Wimbledon, that's definitely worth it, in my opinion.
And you're hoping to get on centre court. Who are you hoping to see today?
Hopefully Serena Williams in the afternoon, if we're lucky.
Wonderful. You better hope your head doesn't nod down with tiredness. Well, thanks for joining us on GB News. Paul, the good news here, you might have heard some cheers behind me. On the tannoys, they've just announced the queue is going to start moving. So everybody here have just taken their eye mask off. They're looking a little bit more awake now, and they're about to pack up their stuff and move their way on into the course where they were able to buy their tickets. £33 for general admission.
That's not bad, Will, but the thing is, how many of those behind you will actually get in? Because how many tickets are available for the main show courts? And I think it's probably just to get to the grounds you can get in. But I mean, all these people, you think you're staying there all night. Is it truly worth it for most of them?
Well, for the people who have been here all night, in fact, I was speaking to one of the stewards earlier.
Right.
He was saying that some people at the front of this queue arrived here 2 days ago. They've been camping out for 2 days. They've already gone in. They presumably have their tickets, front seat in centre court perhaps. Those here hoping to get in, they've got their queue cards. But, I mean, as you say, the people around here, 7,000 in the queue.
Right.
Maybe further on that way, you might be a little less lucky.
OK, well, I just hope you get in, because it's all very well you being there, and we think it's fantastic you do. We appreciate you doing that, but at least hopefully you get to see a bit of tennis as well. But thanks, Will. We'll speak to you a little bit later. Will Godley there. It's a tough. You've done it though, haven't you? You've been in the queue.
Twice.
Queue? Did you queue? Did you?
Oh yeah.
You stayed overnight, did you?
Yeah.
And did you get in?
Did get in.
To centre court?
One year we got into centre court. The other year we were on Murray Mound, but still good.
Fine.
It's good to go for the vibes.
Yeah, I think that's like they say. You know, it's not really about what we're going to see. We're here for the vibes.
Yeah.
No other tournament does this, so it's just the whole Wimbledon thing.
Oh, it's just great. I love it.
Hold on. So if you get on Murray Mound, you basically don't get to see any tennis.
Well, you watch it on the telly.
You watch it on the big screen.
So you pay your 35 quid or whatever, and to go and watch it on telly.
But you're amongst other tennis fans.
Yes.
And you can have your strawberries, you can have your Pimm's. It's a great day out. And if you camp overnight, they let you take a bottle of champagne in, so that's great too.
Right.
Not for you, dear boy?
No.
OK, fine.
No.
OK, well, it's great.
It's a lot of money to pay for something you could do at home.
Oh,
You're
come
literally
on.
watching
It's a
it on
fun
the
day
telly.
out. Once a year, come on.
OK.
Talk about Kill Bill. We've got Killjoy here, haven't we?
Give over. Would you
Listen
like
to you.
go?
Well, yeah, I'll give it a go.
Take you.
Well, yeah, OK then, come on then. We'll go.
All right.
Oh,
Nice
no,
day out.
it's a dare.
Be a nice day out.
5 o'clock in the morning, me and Stephen arguing with each other. Oh, God, I don't want to go, and it's too hot.
Your turn to go and queue for the tickets.
OK, I'll queue, I'll take it.
It is going to get very hot at Wimbledon, though, isn't it? To be
OK,
honest.
we'll
It's
leave
going
it
to
to
get up to 30 degrees.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's another heat wave coming.
Is
Don't
there?
get me started on the weather.
All right, OK.
I'll go into intense detail.
OK, no, thank you. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get you started on the papers, though, because Freddie Gray and James Rampton are standing by to take us through the front pages in just a moment.
Yes, but talking about the weather, here's your forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Very hot weather and thunderstorms affecting parts of the Mediterranean and Eastern Europe through the next few days. Sunny and warm elsewhere across parts of Europe. The Canary Islands seeing highs of 30 degrees on Wednesday. Spain and Portugal temperatures in the high 20s, low 30s, much more reasonable than they have been lately. But it's Italy and towards Greece where very high temperatures are expected towards 40 degrees and a risk of heavy thunderstorms that continues until Friday. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by 2 hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of like the bigger gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, like average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the newspaper front pages this morning. The Daily Telegraph reports that experienced resident doctors will earn over £100,000 a year. It's after BMA members voted to accept the government's latest pay deal.
For The Times, Andy Burnham promised a 10-year plan to rewire Britain to bring down the cost of living.
The Daily Mail, Andy Burnham has announced that he's going to create a number 10 North outpost up in Manchester to oversee reindustrialisation.
The Sun has an investigation into Migrant Street, where 83 asylum seekers are going to move into an estate of new-build houses.
And The Star asks us this morning, can anyone be PM? And it questions Andy Burnham's mandate to lead the United Kingdom without having an election victory behind him. Very kindly, they've done a cut-out free mask of Andy Burnham's face, complete with drawn-on eyebrows and eyelashes.
Lovely. We wouldn't want to wear that. Let's talk to Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray, and the journalist James Rampton. Can we have a look at Migrant Street in The Sun, Freddie? These are new builds. Why are they being used for asylum seekers?
Well, they're new builds that it appears were pitched to the village as for lower income people in the area that need that housing. It's a very small village, Stoke Heath. It's about 2,000 residents. It's being given to migrants. And I think it ties in with a lot of what's going on in the news too, this story, which is why The Sun has put it on its front page. One is that Andy Burnham has said he's going to build a hell of a lot more council housing. And the other is that Shabana Mahmood's going to force migrants to pay back the money that was spent on them to house them in hotels, which, as everyone knows, is a huge cost. But I think what this story speaks to is that, all the best laid plans about housing can be messed up by migration, because you have to house the enormous number of people that are here one way or another, whether it's in hotels or in housing or whatever. And it's a big, big problem, and it's spreading to parts of the country that normally don't have to deal with this.
James?
Yeah, I agree with that. I absolutely sympathise with the locals who are pretty shocked that this has happened, because it doesn't seem like they were warned about it. One says it's like a bomb's gone off. But I would also question where will you put these migrants if you don't put them in houses and these happen to be lying vacant? There are a lot of people there who need housing, and Mahmoud's plan is to take them out of hotels, which, as Freddie rightly says, are so expensive, and put them into properties and ex-military sites, which are much cheaper. So if you're looking to save the government money, I think this is a way of doing it. If there's housing lying vacant, even if it's very expensive new builds, then it's better surely that it's filled with people who are otherwise going to cost the state a huge amount of money.
But this underlines the fundamental problem with all of this, doesn't it? Especially when you look at it in a context of a very small village, that people just feel like they're being taken over. This is, and one of the quotes in there is about, there's 2 primary schools nearby. So, what does it mean for the influx into the primary schools? What does it mean for the, what would be limited health services, limited transport routes and limited general infrastructure in a place like Stoke Heath? You can see why people feel completely overwhelmed by it.
I can, absolutely. And, I really, as I say, I sympathise with those villagers. And I think it's probably unfortunate that, as Freddie said, the migrants are being sent to a village which is relatively small. However, on a wider scale, these people are here, these asylum seekers and migrants. We can't just throw them out on the street. We have a moral responsibility to house them, and putting them in homes is much cheaper than hotels. So it may be a short-term solution, but as I say, it will save the state a lot of money.
Well, James, let's stay with you, because this leads us very nicely on to Shabana Mahmoud's latest plans. Talking about responsibility, she is saying that asylum seekers also need to take some responsibility themselves, paying back £10,000 towards their accommodation and benefit bills once they start working. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, it's being compared to student loans, this scheme, and I don't think it's a bad idea, because apparently we spend £5 billion on asylum seekers over the course of their lifetime being housed. So there's an idea that if they were able to get a job and pay the money back, that might assuage people's feeling of outrage and make it seem a bit fair.
Tokenistic, isn't it? £10,000 is, I mean, if they've been here for a couple of years, then the benefits bill and accommodation bill by far outweighs that.
But it's about the impression of fairness, which is what people...
Which is why it's tokenistic.
Yeah, but they may not be earning much more than that. So, you can't charge them £100,000 because they don't have that money.
No, but in that sense, if they are on a very low wage, then actually the amount it's going to take them 30 years to pay it back. I mean,
But as I say, it's about reinforcing an impression of fairness, which is what British people really value, and that the Migrant Street story in The Sun is about. People are saying it's unfair that local resources are being taken, and if there is a way of migrants paying back some money, that would allow people to think, well, they're paying back something, therefore there is a fairer system.
I think James nails it, Freddie, when he says it gives an impression of fairness,
yes,
rather than actual fairness.
And that's the worry with all, from the Conservative government to this government, all measures to get tough on migration always seem to be designed for tough-sounding headlines, but then you sort of start to unravel it and it looks a little bit weaker and more feeble. I mean, it's not quite clear from the reporting, it's not quite clear how this would apply. Would it apply once they get a job within the country? There's talk that they would not be allowed back into the country if they haven't paid back their amount. So that means, if that's just the case, that means an asylum seeker, if he decides he's had enough of living in a hotel and doesn't want to get a job in Britain, he can go out of Britain. He's just not allowed back unless he repays the debt. Is that a tough policy?
On a boat again.
Unless he comes over on a boat, which he did in the first place. So is that really a tough policy? No. I think it's obviously a move in the right direction. I think that we are saying we are spending extraordinary sums of money housing these people. We need to try and reclaim it. We need to put in provisions to make sure they realise we are not just a kind of endless, generous country that you can feed off indefinitely. That's a good move. But yes, as you say, it's the impression, it's not the reality of getting tough on asylum seekers.
No, go on.
Just going to say, talking about impressions, what did you make of Andy Burnham yesterday unveiling his agenda for democratic renewal at a press conference that didn't take any questions?
I think all prime ministers sort of have different accents but sound the same. And I think Burnham is I mean, it was sort of, how different really was it from Starmerism? We have promise for more housing. He has a little bit more of an emphasis on council housing. We have a promise for devolution, essentially. I think he's more committed to that than Starmer, there's no doubt about that. But what does that mean? I mean, we've had decade of levelling up. We've had devolution to different parts of the country that hasn't really worked, that doesn't seem to function, and then this idea of rewiring with circuit breakers. It sounds cool, doesn't it? You need circuit breakers if you're going to rewire, but what does it mean? But what does it really mean? It's just empty, it's hollow.
Do you know what it means?
No, my physics O-level somehow has disappeared down the back of the sofa, so I don't know what it means. However, I would say the one thing that struck me about his press conference yesterday is the sea change from Starmer in terms of communication. Burnham is a brilliant showman. He said at one point, this is like DJing in Manchester again.
Yes.
Which was quite a weird thing to say. But he obviously revels. Yeah, are you ready for this? No, is the answer.
He's definitely more amiable than Starmer, but I'm worried his sort of, I like the Stone Roses stick is going to get very, very tiresome.
If nothing changes for people's lives, you give him a couple of months and he'll be just as hated as Starmer is now. You're right, he has a different accent and he comes from a different place, but he's got to change things or he'll be toast as well.
All right, you two. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on.
Now, do stay with us. Another day dawns in Westminster, with the Prime Minister preparing to announce the long-awaited defence investment plan in just a matter of hours.
Also coming up, of course, we're still live in the Wimbledon queue.
Well, it was a wipeout for Brits at Wimbledon yesterday. Can we do any better today? The thousands of people here in the queue are hoping we can, but will they get courtside tickets? We'll have to wait and see. Lots of them have been here since 5 o'clock this morning. Many of them been napping here whilst waiting in the queue. They've all got their queue passes. They'll be hoping to get a seat here in Wimbledon. I'll have the latest in just a few minutes. First, though, what's the weather doing? Let's have a look at your forecast.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with the risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day, risk of some quite heavy downpours as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland a little bit drier. We're starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time, though they do start to fade away once the sun goes down. And for most of us, it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many. So a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but just look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and Western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 eastbound between junction 26 at Malpass and junction 23A at Mega, 3 lanes remain restricted due to ongoing issues. The A1M northbound between junction 15 and junction 16 in Cambridgeshire has 3 of 4 lanes closed following a road traffic collision. Meanwhile, Surrey's M25 clockwise between junction 5 and junction 6 has 1 lane closed because of a broken down vehicle. Please note, normal traffic conditions are expected shortly after 9 this morning. On the trains, there are disruptions on Hull trains at Hull and some interruptions on Northern services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's a Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Sir Keir Starmer prepares to outline the long-awaited defence investment plan this morning.
Billions of pounds will be invested in drones and military equipment, but it still won't come anywhere near what key NATO allies are pledging to spend on their defence.
Well, the plan isn't actually officially announced yet. That'll come later this morning. But, of course, already we've had cabinet resignations and lots of infighting, and apparently Andy Burnham doesn't really like it either.
Elsewhere today, asylum seekers will be forced to pay back part of their accommodation costs. It's under new plans announced by the Home Secretary. But could Shabana Mahmood water down her proposals to appease Andy Burnham?
Number 10 North will support the regions on 3 clear tasks: reform of essential utilities, reindustrialisation and the regeneration of places.
Right, so that is Mr Burnham's plan, setting up a base in Manchester as part of his devolution push. What difference will it all make?
This helps to move us forward from a cycle of ongoing strikes which have been going on for far too long and have cost the country billions of pounds.
The Health Secretary James Murray is accused of giving in to the BMA as resident doctors call off their latest walkout after accepting a 6.6% pay rise. Well, earlier on the programme, he defended the deal.
Well, I think this is good news, not just for resident doctors, but also for all staff working in the NHS.
NHS maternity care is set to be overhauled as the government announces urgent steps to improve safety for women and babies.
The BBC announces a new series about the life of Jesus Christ, but the decision to include Muslim faith leaders is sparking controversy. Stay tuned to find out more.
And sport this morning, where Germany are beaten for the first time ever in a World Cup penalty shootout by Paraguay. The Netherlands also out on penalties to Morocco, and thousands of tennis fans and some just for the vibe, securing up for day 2 at Wimbledon. I'm not sure which camp Will Godley falls into, but he's with them now.
I'm here, yeah, thousands of people also here waiting to see if they can get a court-side seat for Wimbledon today. They're hoping it'll be a little bit better for the Brits, though, playing today than it was yesterday.
Good morning. It's a dry and bright start for many southern areas. Further north, though, outbreaks of rain will continue and there is a risk of thunderstorms today. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast. Coach, I've got a question for you. Apparently there's a great parenting divide.
Oh, really?
And this is a new study from the University of Texas which has revealed that sons and daughters are treated differently. You have one son and one daughter.
I do.
Do you say you treat them the same or do you think you treat them differently?
I think I treat them the same.
Do you?
Actually do, yeah. Why? What do they say?
So according to this, researchers say that daughters are given lots of advice about dating and relationships. They get more protection, especially from their fathers, and they also get more financial support. Whereas boys, they're encouraged to be competitive and there's a focus on sports and fitness.
I know.
Fathers prefer with boys to spend more time practicing sports and teaching practical or mechanical skills.
No.
No.
No, I don't. I know a lot that do go down that line, but no, I treat them both the same.
Oh.
I do. I really do. It's not even something to think about.
Really?
I treat them the same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
Fair enough.
A couple of things the study says are equal between the genders. That is the quality of education and career support. So those things are the same, apparently. Well,
Joe's in here today, so then you can. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll ask him.
All right. Should we talk defence investment plan? Oh, you're fed up of talking about it. We haven't even got it yet. It's almost a year late. But we are being told we're going to get it this morning. The Prime Minister says it will future-proof the armed forces and keep Britain safe and secure long into the future. That is what we are being promised. Should we see what the Shadow Defence Secretary, James Cartledge, makes of it all? Good morning to you. It's nice to see you. I mean, you're laughing.
Good morning.
Is this not going to keep us safe and secure long into the future?
It was when you said it feels like you've been talking about it forever. I totally feel your pain. I have been in the House of Commons at every oral questions for it feels for me like decades, saying to the Secretary of State, when is he going to publish a defence investment plan? We've been waiting and waiting, and you know it's finally arrived. And frankly, it really is too little, too late. It's pretty disappointing. The amount of money is barely only a smidge more than John Healey resigned over. Because he said it wouldn't make the country safe. And at the same time, I'll say it's too late. It's not just how long we've waited for it. The capabilities you're hearing about, these drones and so on, sounds impressive. They're not going to come into service till the 2030s, and yet the threat we face is today. So I think it's very poor, and it reflects the fact that the Prime Minister has not prioritised defence. He's prioritised a bigger welfare state. That's where the money's gone.
What would the Tories do differently? I'm looking at the moment just for some details on the Navy, because we're an island nation, aren't we? We need a strong and capable Navy.
Very, very good point. So one policy we announced recently, I know on your programme you've covered the Chagos deal a lot because I think we both agree it's an appalling deal. We feel that it's clearly not going to go anywhere. And interestingly, there's a line of about £400 million of funding this Parliament, which is meant to be given to Mauritius by Labour as part of the payments to Chagos. But our view is, if Chagos isn't going to happen, let's spend that money on the Royal Navy. And what would we do? We would use it to accelerate the manufacture and production of the 13 frigates which are being built in Scotland, the Type 26 and the Type 31 frigates. These are really cutting edge. We ordered them in government. You know, there's no other way you could easily get ships more quickly because unfortunately, and we can talk about the past, and all UK governments cut spending pretty much till 2019 after the Cold War. But the fact is, the only way today we can deal with the lack of surface ships is to accelerate the build in Scotland and also to shorten their sea trials and to take more risk. Just to be clear, not to be cavalier, but if we were at war, we would have shorter sea trials than is going to happen. That's the sort of thing we've got to start doing. We need those ships in service sooner. So that's an example of something we would do.
Oh, all right. I mean, right, fair enough. So you escalate the timings on that if you were in power. But you did say the danger is today, which people can really resonate with. I mean, this is the problem now. This has been so delayed. Whatever you do, and even on an accelerated timeline, it's going to be several years away.
It's a very good point. Look, a key thing I would say is they've announced this sort of drone package. I mean, it's ironic, really, because back in February 2024, when I was the Minister for Defence Procurement, I announced something called a Defence Drone Strategy. It was the first ever drone strategy in the UK MOD. And the key thing is, we were delivering then not drones on press releases like you're hearing about today, but in reality into Ukraine, drones and drone capability, which is incredibly effective and, against what was the strongest military peer threat in Europe, against the Russians. And from that, I set out a strategy. Let's learn from it. We've done it for Ukraine. Now let's do it for the British Armed Forces. So, of course, the election was called and we had a policy, cut the civil service and 10 billion on munitions, which included these drones, because you've got to constantly adapt. As you rightly say, warfare is moving so quickly. This big gap, while we've been waiting for the Defence Investment Plan, has caused procurement paralysis. Nothing's been happening, and nothing's going to be happening for years now, and that's extraordinary. The lesson from Ukraine is you've got to move quickly. You've got to constantly upgrade your capabilities. We were making progress. I don't want your viewers to think Britain, was behind in that uncrewed revolution. We were leading, but we lost the opportunity when they came to power and decided, you know what, we'll pause everything to do these grand reviews, and we're still waiting. And when they've come out, as I say, too little, too late, and very disappointing.
Yes, because we hear so much, don't we, about what was left behind by this Conservative government. We have Labour politicians on all the time saying that this is urgent investment after years of Conservative negligence and hollowing out of our armed forces. What do you say to that?
And I am always honest to say, every government of every colour since basically 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell down, in fact 1985 when Gorbachev became president, has cut defence. It did start increasing in 2019 because, of course, we'd had by then the annexation of Crimea, and that's it. The world has changed. I think the public knows this. They know that we thought in government we had the peace dividend so we could reduce defence spending. Now, I cannot procure a time machine. We can't go back and change that. What we can say is the country knows, because of the threats we face in Europe, conflict in the Middle East, we have got to increase defence spending. And the key to that is it's got to come from somewhere. We've said repeatedly you've got to cut the welfare budget to do that. We've given an example. We said we'd restore the two-child benefit cap and spend it on defence. That's the sort of thing we need to do. Whereas with Starmer, he's been so unwilling to take those difficult decisions despite having a 160-seat majority. And if I may say, that's ultimately why I think he's now finishing his career as Prime Minister, because he wouldn't take those decisions. And I hope that if Burnham does come in, we've had all this waffle yesterday, he recognises that if we want to have a strong economy and fund the armed forces, he is going to have to rein in the welfare state.
Great. James Cartledge, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
You're welcome.
Right, let's get some assessment from the former head of the British Army, Lord Dannatt, former Chief of the Defence Staff. Good to see you this morning.
Okay, thank you.
What do you make of the assessment from Sir Keir Starmer, which he will stand up and say today that the dip keeps Britain safe and secure long into the future? Would you agree from what you've seen?
Well, I agree with a lot of what James Cartledge has just been saying. We've waited far too long for this defence investment plan. Now, we haven't got the full details of it. Some of the details will trickle out overnight, and it looks as if about £5 billion extra is being put on the table. But £5 billion is not the £28 billion that the service chiefs have been asking for, and that's the figure which would get us somewhere near the 3% of GDP that Keir Starmer was talking about in February at the Munich Security Conference. So this is a step in the right direction, but it's not the quantum of increase that our nation demands and our allies are calling for. And there's a real funny irony here. If they'd got on with this a year ago and put a sensible amount of money, John Healey would still be Secretary of State for Defence, and Keir Starmer wouldn't have come under the pressure that is ultimately going to lead him to the exit of number 10. So inaction has consequences, and for Keir Starmer, the consequence is he's losing his job.
We understand that the new Defence Secretary, Dan Jarvis, has managed to acquire a further £1 billion, so bringing this settlement up to £14.5 billion in total. But that is still a big shortfall, as you say, from the £28 billion that John Healey and Al Kahns were calling for. Do you consider that to be a dangerous shortfall?
Well, if the professionals were arguing for 28 billion to get us to that 3%, which the Prime Minister was talking about only as recently as February this year, then the money that's currently on the table is not sufficient. It doesn't surprise me that Dan Jarvis has managed to argue a little bit of extra. Otherwise, why would he have taken the job that John Healey had resigned from? So, and he's a good man, Dan Jarvis. John Healey was a good man too. They both know their stuff. But the bottom line is that increased expenditure has got to be made to keep this country safe and make sure that this country plays its part within NATO to secure the security of Europe. And if Andy Burnham thinks this is going to go away as a result of today, he's got another thing coming, because the defence lobby voice will remain loud, arguing the case quite clearly that we've got to properly look after the security of this country, properly look after the security of Europe, and that requires more like the figure that professionals were calling for, which is about 28 billion to get us up to this 3%. And then, of course, the target is 3.5% at some point in the next decade. So these problems have got to be grasped. They can't be brushed under the carpet, as has been going on for far too long at the top end of government.
What do you make of this pivot towards new technology, drone warfare, autonomous weapons? I mean, it's not that it's perhaps not necessary, and perhaps the armed forces need to modernise with some of this technology. But some of the concern seems to be that a fleet of destroyer warships have been removed from the DIP as a consequence of this. So we're not getting additional resources, we're just getting different resources.
Well, you see, I think, Stephen, that's one of the key points. Just because new ways of warfare are being introduced, it doesn't mean that the old ways of warfare are now redundant. And that's one of the great disappointments for chancellors and prime ministers, that when you need new technologies, you can't immediately give up the old technologies as well. And that's why the argument has been that 28 billion rather than this 14 billion is what is required. And you just can't get away from these expensive realities, but realities they are.
And if we're learning lessons from Ukraine with a focus on drone warfare, that's all very well, but they're a landlocked nation, aren't they? We are an island nation. We need a strong navy. We need investment in our navy.
We need investment in our navy, in our army, our air force, in cyber, and all the other forms of warfare. You can't get away with a cheap option. And there's talk about now an emphasis on drones. Frankly, the armed forces have had drones for about the last 25, 30 years. I remember in Kosovo in 1999, when I was Commander of British Forces, we had the first British Army drone. That was a long time ago. And as James Cartledge was just saying to your viewers a few minutes ago, the previous government understood this and had begun a significant programme. That unfortunately has been paused. And this is one of the sadnesses, really. Having spent a year coming up with a strategic defence review, we've now had to wait another year for the defence investment plan, which itself is woefully inadequate to finance the defence review that they signed off last year. Delay has led to insecurity, it's led to the Defence Secretary resigning, and it's led to the Prime Minister losing his job. And this is entirely of their own making. And frankly, if Andy Burnham, as I said just now, thinks this problem is going to go away, it's not going to go away.
Lord Richard Dannett, former Chief of the General Staff. It's always good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
That's a damning indictment.
It really is.
Actually, I mean, I sort of think, it's not to say that anyone is absolutely right, but when you are a former head of the British Army, former Chief of the General Staff, you are someone, and they've served with distinction, they are someone who understands the ins and outs of this on a political level, on a financial level, and on boots on the ground level, more than the rest of us put together, more than everyone in Parliament put together. They understand how it works and what you actually need. And if that's what he is saying, then surely
damning indictment.
Someone needs to be listening.
And Andy Burnham, who could be our next Prime Minister in just 3 weeks' time, talking about his plan for the nation yesterday, didn't even mention the word defence.
No. He has said in relation to the dip that he wants everyone to... Here we go. From here on in, every pound raised from taxpayers will work harder for them, and that approach will fully apply to the defence investment plan.
But we have no details, do we?
No, but what does that mean?
Exactly.
I don't know what that means. It sort of sounds good. The money's going to work harder for you.
How?
I mean...
But he didn't answer any questions from the press yesterday, so we weren't able to get any details from that. And there will be lots of questions, won't there? Where does he stand on China? Where does he stand on AI? Where does he stand on defence? We don't. There are details that are missing.
And they're big details at the moment.
Big
Hopefully we'll get some answers in the coming weeks. Fingers crossed.
17 minutes past 8. Let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
Well, police have launched a manhunt after a makeshift bomb exploded outside a building in Monaco, injuring 3 people, including one of Ukraine's richest men. 2 of the victims have life-threatening injuries. Another person that is in hospital is a child. Footage appears to show a man leaving a backpack at the entrance shortly before the blast, before travelling on foot towards the French border.
The government will appoint the first ever National Maternity Commissioner after a major review found women and babies have been repeatedly failed by NHS care. The AMOS review says there is a pattern of patient concerns being ignored, with discrimination and racism behind a culture of inequality.
And the resident doctors' strike has come to an end. Medics voted to accept a new pay deal, which works out at about 6.6% pay rise over a set period of time. Health officials say the average junior doctor will now start at about £52,000 a year. We talked to the Health Secretary about this earlier on, didn't we? So it's an interesting interview. It's worth watching. I'm sure it'll be online on gbnews.com. As was always the case with these things, you know, you settle a deal and you get something in return, more productivity or something like that.
There doesn't appear to be anything in return, though. Just that the strikes have ended for now, but the BMA already saying that they'd consider industrial action next year.
Yeah, may not be over, because they need to renegotiate next year, of course, so it may all start again.
Yeah, not great.
Doesn't give you a lot of confidence, does it?
It doesn't. Anyway, let us know what you think on that one or anything that we're talking about this morning. gbnews.com/say.
Right, time for the weather. Here's Annie.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with the risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day, risk of some quite heavy downpours, as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland, a little bit dry drier. We're starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time, though they do start to fade away once the sun goes down. And for most of us, it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many. So a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but it does look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and Western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, just after 9 o'clock this morning, we're going to be speaking to Rosie Duffield, the Independent MP, about the government's plan to overhaul maternity care.
First, though, the BBC has commissioned a new series about Jesus, but already there's concern that it could spark some controversy. We'll tell you more in a moment.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Now, it's 25 minutes past 8. Now, the BBC has commissioned a major new 4-part series exploring the life of Jesus.
Yes, the broadcaster said that the production will draw on expert testimony to build a detailed picture of Jesus' life, including contributions from Muslim and Jewish leaders.
Well, that's raised concern from some that the BBC is trying to politicise the story of Jesus.
Well, here to give his perspective is Vicar at the Christ Church New Malden, Stephen Kurt. Very good morning to you, Stephen.
Morning.
Are you concerned about this?
No, not at all. I mean, very few details have emerged at the moment about the approach they're going to take. But any fresh approach to Jesus, anything that looks to freshly investigate the sort of historical basis of the time when Jesus was about in first century Palestine, I think is to be welcomed. And the more perspectives, the better. Because whenever people study Jesus, they normally come up with insights that are valuable and need to then be incorporated within the understanding of Jesus.
Well, the idea that you could look at the history of Jesus in that very region without looking at the impacts it had certainly on Judaism,
yes,
but also on the Muslim faith as well,
absolutely.
I mean, would be crazy.
Absolutely. And, you know, all voices are welcome. Within biblical scholarship, there will be people coming from a Christian faith perspective who've said immensely valuable stuff about Jesus. There's also been atheist scholars, or essentially atheist, who've nonetheless, and perhaps freed from a sort of confessional perspective where they feel the need to defend stuff, have sometimes noticed stuff about Jesus or about first century Palestine that others have rather missed. So we need to understand the nature of the Pharisees. We need to understand what the Roman occupation was like. So the more investigation, the better.
So why do you think, with this, the fact that you know, some Muslim leaders and Jewish leaders have been interviewed for this documentary, why do you think that has caused outrage amongst some?
Well, I think there is a concern by some, and I do understand this, that they feel traditional Christianity is under attack. So there are quite a lot of people in this country that feel there is a sort of two-tiered approach, to use a familiar term, where Islam, for instance, is respected more than Christianity. And that's partly because Christianity has been the historical religion of this country for a long time. And so sometimes there is a bit of sort of fair game attack on Christianity in the eyes of some, which I think can sometimes be rather negative and unhelpful. But I think it's rather triggering for some to see anything about Christianity, opinions being asked by people outside the Christian faith. But Christianity is robust and should be able to cope with input and questions and valid points being made from people from whatever perspective.
Are you concerned at all that the story of Jesus could be revised in a secular way? Because when you're looking at what this is going to include, we're talking about archaeological discoveries, technological innovation, expert testimony, talking to experts in the field. Are you concerned that it will come away from religion? I mean, when they're talking about miracles, for example.
No, because I think that, I mean, to take the miracles of Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth did extraordinary things that do need to be explained and do need to be investigated. And most scholars who've studied Jesus are forced to sort of say, when they look at the evidence, this guy clearly does extraordinary things that people at the time, you know, found amazing. So I don't think Christianity has anything to fear from history, because Christianity essentially makes the claim that certain historical events happened. So it invites scrutiny. It's not about a set of sort of abstract ideas. And all the advances in the understanding of Jesus have come when people have asked questions that haven't been asked before. And Christians, I think, as far as possible, have got to be confident about the fact that questions being raised is a good thing, not a bad thing.
But this is the interesting thing. I mean, the one thing which, you know, nothing is for certain, but we do know he was a historical figure.
Absolutely.
We know he existed.
Yes.
And focusing on that can't be about, because it's not going to explain faith, is it? It's not going to prove faith.
Yes.
Because the whole point is, great is the mystery of faith.
Yes. There'll still be things where we face that choice whether to believe them or not. But you're absolutely right. Jesus of Nazareth definitely lived. He was definitely crucified by the Romans. No serious historian doubts that. And what we have to do is to place Jesus within his first century context and understand what was going on, what was the nature of his message, how did he understand his mission and his calling. And when we've thoroughly investigated that, then make up our mind about what our response should be to that.
Lovely to talk to you.
Yeah,
this morning,
really good to get
Stephen.
your perspective.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you.
Well, GB News has reached out to the BBC. They've yet to respond, but Daisy Scalchi, who's head of religion and ethics at BBC, previously said this.
The series is testament to the BBC's commitment to religious programming that deepens our understanding of each other and the world around us. Jesus Christ is one of the most recognised and influential figures in human history, yet what we know about him comes from remarkably few sources. This ambitious series will bring his life into focus like never before.
It's going to be quite interesting, actually. It'd be quite interesting to put it in more of a historical context. There's a great
watch it. Let us know what you think.
There's a great show on Netflix called The Chosen, which is. Have you seen that, Stephen?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really powerful, actually.
Just very briefly, what do you think about that? Because there's a couple of films coming out this year on Jesus. I think there's one on Netflix and there's one by a big director. His name escapes me now. How does that make you feel? Are you comfortable with that, or on?
Very, very, very comfortable.
Mel
because
Gibson.
what they all do, as I said earlier, they find aspects of the story that haven't been particularly brought out before. So what The Chosen does is particularly shows insight into what the lives of these followers of Jesus were like.
It's something you don't get from just reading the Bible, in a way.
No, you don't. But the people who've written it, what they've done is taken the biblical stories and they've thought about it. They've imagined what might be the backstory, and it's a bit like historical fiction that sort of fills in the gaps between what we do know.
Isn't it?
It's very like The Crown, very similar to The Crown, which takes the fixed points of what we know, but then uses imagination to think, well, what might have been the backstory? And as long as we watch it, understanding the genre, then I think it's really, really helpful.
It just makes some people very uncomfortable, though, doesn't it?
I just found The Chosen really
I can understand that. Yeah, well, I can understand why people who have a faith that's very close to their heart, something they really value, we've got to be very, very careful with that. I was a religious studies teacher for years, and when you study stuff that can disturb people's faith, you've got to deal with them gently and carefully, but not avoid the questions. Get people to see that history is our friend, not our enemy.
Stephen, thank you very much.
Oh, we might get you on every week.
That's right. We could do a live daily reflection. That would be good.
I wouldn't mind. I've never been asked. Well, I've never done stuff on GB News. Never been asked to do a daily reflection, but I love watching them. They're brilliant, and I'm so grateful GB News do them.
We could do one live with you if you fancy getting up early.
I'm very happy.
Right, there you go. Sort that out. In the meantime, Stephen, because you appear on the programme, you can't enter this, I don't think. I don't think you're allowed. £60,000 in tax-free cash, which would be very good for the church roof. Plus a real gold bar worth more than £5,000. It could all be yours. Here's how you take part.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. It's a great prize. Now, 8:34, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here is your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M90 southbound from Broxton roundabout to Junction 10 Craigan, Delays are caused by a broken down vehicle. The M4 eastbound at junction 33 Capel-Lenilton is congested due to off-slip issues. The A40 eastbound in Gloucestershire between the A4136 and the junction with the A417 west of Gloucester is heavily delayed by congestion. The M25 clockwise between junction 7 and junction 8 in Surrey has one lane closed due to a vehicle fire, and on the trains, Hull trains face disruptions at Hull, and Northern services are experiencing delays on some routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now, do stay with us still to come. It's strawberries and cream season at Wimbledon. But Will Godley, we hear there's been a turn in the weather. Will, tell us more.
It certainly has. Breaking news. It started raining here in the queue. What does that mean for the tennis? What does it mean for people here in the queue? I've had to lend my brolly out to these girls. You didn't look at the weather forecast. What's going on? I'll have... Oh, they say they didn't. I'll have all the details in just a few minutes' time. You're watching GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Paul's here with the sport, 8:39 morning.
So Germans are out.
Shocker.
I know. Knocked out on penalties. First time ever in a World Cup the Germans are out of the World Cup.
You sound like you're about to launch into Rock Me Amadeus.
That's for the Austrians, Rock Me Amadeus. I'm saving that. That was Austrian. That was Falco. Rock Me Amadeus.
I just had a thought. Thomas Tuchel, I know he says he's got lots of affection for England, but now he's definitely on our side.
Yeah, well, he's got
Besides
a choice,
that.
isn't he? You know, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it must be difficult for him. surely.
Well, not anymore.
No, it's
Sorted
easy
out
because
for
the
him.
Germans are out.
Yeah.
Beaten by Paraguay, they lost 4-3 on penalties. Again, we're seeing all those stoppy-starty penalties. But I've got some footage here, and I'd like you to see this. Now, this happened in Asunción.
Oh, yes.
Which is the capital of Paraguay.
Yeah.
Now, have a look at this. Now, look, see that on the screen? They're all watching it. It's on a huge screen in the capital of Paraguay. And just... Oh, no! It's gone off. The TV's gone off. So, obviously, someone hasn't been paying the bill. They don't know whether the penalty's gone in or not. What happens? Yes, it's in the back of the net.
Oh.
It's in the back of the net. Everybody goes crazy. So there we are. See that? You hate that when you see the little sign on the screen there? You can't even see it the moment the ball's kicked. The show is over. And then comes straight back on. So there we are. Now have a look at this. These are the commentators from Paraguay. The moment the winning penalty went in.
Oh,
isn't that great?
It's emotional.
This is
It's
what
so
the World
lovely.
Cup's all about, you know?
Yeah.
It's the emotion, the excitement. It's just wonderful to see. I just hope we're all going to be like this tomorrow night.
Yes, we are.
So
You've got to visualise it.
Listen, listen. So well done, Paraguay. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I really don't. Lost 4-3 on penalties then. So the Germans are out, 75% possession. They were all over them. But this low block thing that everybody seems to be doing. Now, the Netherlands drew 1-1 with Morocco, which then went to penalties. So the Netherlands are out. Morocco won that in the early hours. And the other one last night was Brazil 2, Japan 1. Now, I tipped the Japanese, didn't I?
Well, you did.
I said I have a funny feeling, and it nearly happened. What I actually meant was I had a feeling they were going to win the first half, Ellie, was what I was trying to say.
In which case you were bang on the money.
Oh, on the money. But then the second half come and ruined it for us all. Yeah. Now, there was a Japanese fan who was very unhappy. Have a look at this. But the spirit of the World Cup alive and well again. There he is. Look, he's heartbroken.
Oh, poor
absolutely heartbroken. But look at this, the Brazilians. They've beaten them, but look, it's okay.
Him.
Come and have some hugs with us. It's all going to be fine.
Oh, it's lovely.
You know, and this is what it's all about. And look, you got to cheer him up. So then, look at him now.
Oh, it's all smiles.
This is literally
now.
a minute later. Honestly, so fickle. But anyway, then the Mexicans then get involved.
Good lads.
And what are they going to do?
Give him the bump.
Of course, because that's what they do in Mexico.
Yeah.
There we are, giving the
bumps.
bumps.
That's cheered him up.
There we are.
Hey.
Yeah, look at that.
Do you know what? I think
Everybody's
that's
happy.
really lovely.
So
actually.
do I. There we are.
Brilliant.
Look at
he's
that.
had a great day out.
So he's had a lovely time. Yeah.
Lovely.
Smashing.
Very good.
So I was thinking, we give you the bumps as well.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe we do that later. Now, Wimbledon, of course, started yesterday. Day 2. Not a good day for the Brits.
No. Look, how many did we lose?
10. Could have been 11, but one of them actually was, because of bad light, it was stopped with his 2 sets down. But Will Godley is there for us. Hopefully everybody's going to have a lovely time and we won't have any problems with any Brits being knocked out. But anyway, we'll put any money on it. There's Will now.
Oh.
Will, what's going on? It's raining. It's not supposed to be like this. What's going on?
Oh, yes, the infamous goblins.
I know it was a heat wave last week and now it's started raining, Paul. I've had to lend my umbrella to these girls. Hannah, Izzy, you join me now. Did you not check the weather forecast?
We did not, apparently not. We did, it lied to us.
The weather forecast's fault. It always is. How did you get here this morning?
We line biked. Yeah, line biked over, with everyone else over there.
There is a huge sea of line bikes parked outside. It seems like everybody's got one of these electric bikes to get down here. And importantly, your picnic, your drinks, what's the situation here?
I've got a bottle of champagne, I've got some cheeses and pickles, some shortbreads, some chip and dip. That should carry me through. We got a deconstructed espresso martini as well. All the different components, gonna mix them up in maybe 5 minutes? 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We're trying to be polite and wait when it's acceptable, but we've already been up 3 hours, so...
Sounds like it's a good time to crack the cans open. Well, thanks for joining us, ladies. I'm going to stand up. My legs haven't gone too numb because other people are trying to stay dry. Just take a look around. Some people using picnic blankets to stay dry. It's actually sort of, Paul, stopped raining a little bit. I'm seeing other people who have just quickly rushed over to the gift shop and bought a little bit of an umbrella. Let's chat to these guys. Hello, how you doing? It's me again.
In the queue. He's the only guy with a tie.
You've gone to the gift shop and bought an umbrella.
Yeah, he's their American. Yeah. We just met them, you know.
How much does an umbrella go for at Wimbledon?
Too much, 28.
£28 for an umbrella. They're banking on it raining here.
£3.50 for coffee, though.
Only £3.50 for a
Keep the
coffee.
glasses on,
Mark,
it's gonna be something.
Mark, you told me this is your 11th year in the queue. You've got some lifelong friends that you've met in the queue. How are you enjoying these guys?
Well, I found out they're quite rich from Kentucky, so we're making good friends here, and they are. Look, they've bought all the souvenirs and stuff. Yeah, I still correspond with people we've met here over the years. Miles and I have been coming. We're veterans. We're queuers.
Amazing. And you got your eyes on their picnic.
Well, no, because I found out there's nothing in it. You came along and they opened it up, and so
oh dear,
it's already
unlucky.
But they've been here since 4. We've been here since about 6:45. So yeah.
So we're very civilised time.
You are.
Amazing. Enjoy today. Hope the rain doesn't.
Is that a real beard, by the way? Are you sure that's a real beard?
Right, my new family.
I don't dare touch it. They're asking if it's a real beard, Mark.
Oh yes. Sorry.
It's real.
I'm going to Santa this year, so I've got to, cultivate it. My name's Winter, by the way, so, Winter by name, not by nature.
Wonderful. I don't know what's happening here.
Listen, chaos. Be careful, because you probably end up with a little bit of strawberry on your fingers if you touch that beard, so be very careful. But look, it's great. Everybody looks like they're having a lovely time, even though it's raining. Thousands out there, so there's still chances to go. So you've got to get up really early, though, haven't you? Probably like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then camp out. And Ellie's done it, and it's just a fantastic time for everybody to although you're too tired to actually watch the tennis at the end of it. Yeah. Thanks, Will. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Enough of Will.
It was those girls that had a deconstructed espresso martini. That sounds great.
I know.
I'm very posh.
Will was very careful who he spoke to, and I don't know whether he realised he was actually on TV at that point.
He was having a lovely time.
Ladies, champagne.
Some posh women and a Kiwi.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
Good man.
Perfect lunch, that is.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
Do stay with us still to come when we go through the papers with Freddie Gray and James Rampton.
First, though, here's your European forecast.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Very hot weather and thunderstorms affecting parts of the Mediterranean and Eastern Europe through the next few days. Sunny and warm elsewhere across parts of Europe. The Canary Islands seeing highs of 30 degrees on Wednesday. Spain and Portugal temperatures in the high 20s, low 30s, much more reasonable than they have been lately. But it's Italy and towards Greece where very high temperatures are expected towards 40 degrees and a risk of heavy thunderstorms that continues until Friday. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
And it's Father's Day. I don't know if my dad's up yet. If you are, happy Father's Day.
He's already texted.
Is he?
He's tuning in.
Mr. Reaper, good morning to
Yes.
you.
Well, speaking of Sunday lunches, he'll be having a roast pork joint later, courtesy of myself.
Good.
Cards and gifts are a big part of the day, of course, but it's also important to remember that there is more to it than that.
Yeah, because it's not just about one day, is it? Actually, it's like, what do dads do? And healthy fathers, a healthy sort of father-son, father-daughter relationship builds strong families, builds strong communities and helps build a strong country, actually.
Well, that is why mentoring the next generation matters more than ever. So take a little extra time today, make sure you do, to appreciate not just the fathers or the grandfathers or the uncles out there, but any strong father figure that you may have.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Welcome back to Breakfast, 25 minutes past 6. And breaking news this morning, the TV presenter Jeremy Clarkson has revealed that he's been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer in an emotional video.
In the scenes, he's telling his co-stars Caleb Cooper and Charlie Ireland, his land agent and his farm manager, and they're both devastated, as you can imagine. You know, it's a huge bombshell to drop on them. He's only 66. He's made no secrets that he's maybe not lived the healthiest lifestyle. After the heart problems, he bemoans having to eat Greek yogurt and kale and whatnot. But following this, I think he's going to have a complete lifestyle overhaul even further, and just fingers crossed the treatment proves effective.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Hello there, Emily and Tom. Yes, some breaking news in the last few moments from Kensington Palace regarding our future king, Prince George of Wales, the oldest son of the Prince and Princess of Wales. The short statement from Kensington Palace reads, Kensington Palace can confirm that Prince George will attend Eton College in September. That news just coming in from the royal household in the last few moments. This clearly is, well, perhaps not surprising news for those in royal circles. Eton College, the most prestigious school, arguably in the country, educating 20 prime ministers, and of course Prince George's own father and uncle, Prince William and Prince Harry, as well as 2 Dukes of Gloucester's, the Duke of Kent and Prince Michael of Kent as well. So that confirmation just coming in from Kensington Palace, £63,000 a year it costs to send a child to Eton College.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Anyway, we're back going through the papers with Penny Gray and James
every
Rampton.
time. Every time. I just keep
Welcome,
chuntering on
James.
as James Rampton.
Welcome, you.
Hello, everyone. I'll shut up now.
Should we talk about the DIP, the long-awaited defence investment plan, Freddie?
Well, yes, it's disappointing. As ever, everybody thought that Starmer might be pressured into raising it significantly. It seems he has not raised it significantly. I think what's interesting about this, in a way, is how irrelevant it is, because everybody's now thinking about Andy Burnham, what he's going to do on defence. And interestingly, he didn't really say anything about defence. There was some talk about provision, he touched on it very lightly, but he didn't really talk about defence yesterday. He's meant to be doing a big foreign policy speech. And what is Andy Burnham's foreign policy? Is it, I like the stone roses? Because a lot of people think it might be. He is something of an empty vessel when it comes to international affairs. So it'll be very interesting to see. And will he respond to this massive pressure now from the security establishment, from the military top brass, to meet this Moscow test, they call it? Can we scare Russia? Or put Russia off trolling us in the sort of military way they're doing.
I mean, we are, frankly, a laughingstock at the moment when our own Defence Secretary quit saying we can't defend the country.
I know, and we've run out of pea shooters even now, it seems. I mean, the embarrassment of not being able to defend Akrotiri, the base in Cyprus, at the beginning of the war against Iran. I think a French vessel went to defend it instead. I mean, sacre bleu, that is a real national humiliation. We're £9 billion short of our key NATO allies on this dip. There's also no word about when we will reach the mythical 3% of GDP. At the moment, we're on 2.4. Germany is already on 3.7, which President Trump will be very pleased about. But Starmer has put no date in on that, and it's half. What he's giving is half what the MOD was asking for. So, in terms of projecting international power, we just look weedy.
And we're now getting tough love from the US when it comes to defence. The Pentagon's making it quite clear, if you don't invest more significantly in defence, we are not going to be your partner. And of course, the US military is the most powerful force in the world. You want to have a close relationship with them if you want to have an effective Western deterrent military. That's another big problem for Burnham as he comes into office.
Yeah. Can we just have a very quick look at the Express, James, and Prince William, who's looking at homelessness?
Well, I really take my hat off to him here. He's taken a subject that is not always very fashionable, and he's saying he wants to destigmatise it. And it actually goes back to when he was 11 years old and his mother took him to a homeless shelter. And I think that was the moment where he became very interested in this subject. He set up a mission called Homewards, which has now helped more than 2,400 people avoid becoming homeless in 6 trial locations. And so he's really put his money, he's put some money where his mouth is, and he's getting great results. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. And
a worthy cause.
Prevention is better than cure.
Better than just wanging on about climate change, which is what he usually does. Just thought I'd add that in before we stop.
Today's Outlook,
Cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with the risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day, risk of some quite heavy downpours as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland a little bit drier. Starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time, though they do start to fade away once the sun goes down. And for most of us, it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many. So a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but it does look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Congestion on the M4 eastbound near junction 33 at Capel Llanilturn is causing delays due to lane restrictions. On the M23 southbound in Surrey between junctions 8 and 9, expect disruption with one lane closed due to a broken down vehicle. Further north, the M62 eastbound in Kirklees between junctions 25 and 26 has heavy delays after an accident with an overturned vehicle and 2 lanes closed. Avoid the A11 southbound in Essex, where a collision has led to a complete closure. And on the trains, Hull Trains is experiencing disruption at Hull. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific 2-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense. and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Sir Keir Starmer prepares to outline the long-awaited defence investment plan this morning.
Billions of pounds will be invested in drones and military equipment, but it still won't come anywhere near what key NATO allies are pledging to spend on their defence.
So it's not even officially announced yet. That's about 10:30 this morning. But of course, it's already been plagued by cabinet resignations and lots of infighting. And apparently, Andy Burnham isn't necessarily supporting it.
No word yet on what the future Prime Minister makes of this, Andy Burnham. And where has the Prime Minister found £1.5 billion he didn't have 2 weeks ago?
Elsewhere today, asylum seekers will be forced to pay part of their accommodation costs back under new plans announced by the Home Secretary. But could Shabana Mahmood water down her proposals to appease Andy Burnham?
A bomb explosion in Monaco has seriously injured a Ukrainian oligarch and 2 members of his family.
The Health Secretary, James Murray, is accused of giving in to the BMA. It says resident doctors call off their latest walkout after accepting a 6.6% pay rise. Well, earlier on the programme, he defended the deal.
Well, I think this is good news, not just for resident doctors, but also for all staff working in the NHS.
NHS maternity care is going to be overhauled as the government announces urgent steps to improve safety for women and babies. We'll talk to the independent MP Rosie Duffield in about 10 minutes.
And Wimbledon season is upon us. Day 2 set to begin, and GB News is live from Britain's most famous queue.
Well, it was a disastrous day for Brits competing yesterday, but that's not enough to dampen spirits. Neither is even this spot of rain. Champagne has already been popped, and people enjoying themselves here in the queue. I'll have the latest throughout the day.
Good morning. It's a dry and bright start for many southern areas. Further north, though, outbreaks of rain will continue, and there is a risk of thunderstorms today. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Right, let's crack straight on, because in terms of politics, there is a lot to talk about this morning. So we've wheeled in our political editor, Christopher Hope. Good morning.
Good morning, you both. How are you?
Good. It's great to see you this morning, because there's so much. I know you're hot-footed down from Manchester and Andy Burnham's news conference yesterday, which we'll talk about in a second. Today, though, it's the current Prime Minister and the dip.
Yes.
Which is hugely difficult to get our heads around when he says it's going to secure Britain's future for a very, very long time, but his own Defence Secretary quit, saying we can't even defend ourselves. Well, so where are we?
Well, they found £1.5 billion in about 3 weeks since John Healey resigned as Defence Secretary. Al Khan's the Armed Forces Minister. It shows what you can do when you're pressed to do it, maybe, but £1.5 billion that wasn't there is there now, but only £15 billion increase on defence spending. That is some way short. That is £13 billion short of where the Army Chiefs want, £9 billion if you compare ourselves with NATO allies. The money's going on drones, on unmanned warfare, on new ships which aren't the same as the ships we have at the moment, with fewer manpower on them, and we're deploying, using the experience of Ukraine to spend it that way. It's not enough to keep us safe, according to the critics. The Tories are unhappy about it. There's also, means we get to 2.69% of GDP, our gross national income, by 2030, when the Tories and Reform and other parties say that should be 3%, going towards 3.5% by middle of next decade. And that's how we measure defence, a proportion of our overall country's turnover.
Do we know where the Prime Minister managed to find £1.5 billion?
No, we don't know.
We don't.
Catherine Forster will find out for you, Ellie. Tune in later. She's gone to the press conference where the PM's announcing his plans somewhere west of London. So we'll find out there. Again, there are two Prime Ministers going on here.
Yeah.
Catherine Rightly is with the Prime Minister today. We're also thinking a lot about Andy Burnham, the MP for Makerfield, yet to take any questions from journalists or at all, or his own MPs in public, it seems, about what his plans are.
Yeah, just before we get on to that, Chris, this 1.5 billion, there are two questions with that. A, where do you get it from, as we've asked? But also the other side of the coin is, actually, in the great scheme of things, it's small change. And so why does he think, and why does Dan Jarvis, the new Defence Secretary, think it changes the game significantly from when the last one resigned?
It's a great question. I sense it's legacy planning for the Prime Minister. Dan Jarvis couldn't really resign with the PM leaving office 2 weeks on Monday. I'm sure he'll say he's happy about it. He's doing a series of interviews later when he'll say he's happy about it. Of course, the government can also increase it next week and the week and next month, next year and the year after. It's not like it's the last time we increased defence spending for several years, but it's not enough, according to the people who know how to spend money properly. But we haven't got the money around. That's part of the problem with this government since it became into power.
Do we know if Andy Burnham has been briefed on this and whether he approves of this plan?
Ellie, great question as ever. I'm looking at my phone here and I can't see a response yet from his team. I've said here in terms, what's he saying on this? Has he signed off on it? We don't know. Andy Burnham did meet with Keir Starmer face-to-face last Monday when we think this DIP, this Defence Investment Plan, was looked at and discussed. So we think so, we don't know. Again, he didn't mention defence, I don't think at all, in that 40-minute speech in the People's Hall in Manchester yesterday.
Look, he's a good performer. Right? I mean, he's charismatic, he's a good performer. He came out with lots of things which sound sort of really cool. We need a circuit breaker in what's going on. We need number 10 North. I watched it and thought, I don't know what any of it means.
No. And we couldn't ask him what it meant because he wouldn't take questions from us. Now, why that's interesting is when the Tories changed leader, they do have hustings of their members. 160,000 Tory members voted on that. In 2022, there were 12 different meetings around the country between when Rishi Sunak ran against Liz Truss. That hasn't happened this time, so there's no chance to quiz him. And in fact, when he finished his speech yesterday, he snuck out a side exit. I think we've got a clip of what happened. OK, there we have it there. That was him going down the steps, out the hall, into his car. You see him bottom right there, just above the word for. That's Andy Burnham there taking his jacket off. He goes round the side and gets in the other side. I mean...
So he didn't even want to take questions being yelled at him by journalists outside?
Well, I was filming that through glass, Steve. I looked a bit mad shouting through glass, but I would have shouted questions given half a chance because that's our job, is to ask questions to people in power on behalf of our viewers and listeners. He didn't do it yesterday. I just think... I don't know why. This guy is meant to be the comms guy. He's brought in as somebody who can connect with an audience, isn't being touched by Keir Starmer, who will get people on his side. If he's that person, why not take questions from the press? It's a tiny thing. It shouldn't bother anybody else apart from me. It's my job to ask questions, but it is a bit irritating.
Do you think he's used to being Manchester Mayor, to having very little scrutiny and just being in the centre of attention and generally being adored by those in Greater Manchester?
And he'd approve that. That's, of course, a Stone Roses song, I want to be adored. But anyway, from Manchester. But yeah, no question. I think, you know, what's he about? We've got lots of vibes. He won't get better headlines than today. But at some point, he's got to say things like who his Chancellor might be. He'll announce his cabinet a week next weekend, we expect, or the following Monday. That's really important. What does he think about defence spending? Will he cut welfare? The key questions we've been asking of Keir Starmer's government that we haven't really got good answers to.
OK, Chris, thank you very much.
Right, let's talk to someone I really wanted to get on the programme this morning, and that is Lord Walney, who was, as John Woodcock, at one time MP for Barrow-in-Furness. Morning to you. Look, the reason I wanted to talk to you about the dip in particular is not just about how much money there is and how much spending there's going to be, but it's about this reallocation to stuff like drone warfare, autonomous ships, getting rid of some of the destroyers and frigates that were on the books to be built. Because all this, if we go one instead of the other, instead of building both and increasing our capacity, it has the potential, at least, to have some really devastating impacts on communities like Barrow-in-Furness, where BAE is predominantly submarines now, but all these communities that are relying on shipbuilding and submarine building and the stuff they've got on the order books already, this affects all of their futures.
Yes, that's right. And there will be shipbuilding communities that are deeply worried about the announcement. It's not clear where the new, less expensive, higher volume boats that are supposed to replace the frigates are going to come from. That will all need to be procured. And yes, the livelihoods of those communities is deeply important in of itself, but also the reason that this needs to be carefully managed is because shipbuilding is not something that you can turn on and off in this country. Once skills are lost from communities, from yards, they are very difficult to put back, and you can only do that at much greater cost, which is what our community, I know that you Stephen, you help from the Furness area yourself. It's what the lesson that we learned in the 1990s when submarine building was stripped back to the bone. And then, so it's not just a damage to the country, to the community, it's also to the country that can end up paying higher costs, which is why we shouldn't be in a position where we are choosing from one or the other. The Strategic Defence Review made clear that both of these capabilities are needed. And it just shows that the money that's been brought forward today, while any extra is welcome, while a degree of clarity in having a plan is welcome, it's clearly not sufficient, and it's going to have to be increased significantly as quickly as possible.
I guess the other thing to say is it's not going to happen overnight, is it? We were just speaking to the Shadow Defence Secretary, James Cartledge, and talking about the acceleration of Britain's drone capabilities. He was saying these aren't going to come on board until 2029, 2030. I mean, we need to be ready today, don't we?
We do. We need greater capability, but right now, and we are really concerningly under-resourced. That has been exposed in the recent conflict in the Middle East, where we were unable to send boats for quite some considerable time in the Strait of Hormuz. But we also need to look at the potential of a real challenge from Russia within only a few years. That's what our military planners have suggested could well be about to happen. And it's why it was a key reason that was cited by John Healey in resigning, because he didn't believe the money was being brought forward fast enough. And so there's been a bit of an extra boost. 1.5 billion is not nothing. It's welcome, but it isn't close to what has been allocated, what has been identified as being urgently needed for the defence of our country. So much more needs to be done, and as quickly as possible.
Just a final quick thought, John. I mean, it's interesting, Andy Burnham didn't mention defence yesterday, but he's talked a lot about levelling up, or whatever phrase he's using to equate to the same thing. In fact, when you look at, again, referring to places like Barrow, but when you look at places like Barrow, the two are inextricably linked.
Yeah, exactly. And I really hope that the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, coming in, will recognise the value that defence industrial spending gives to economies across the country, outside of the main cities, particularly in parts of the north of England, the northwest, in the northeast as well, where I think there is a defence tech corridor which runs from Newcastle up into central Scotland. These are high quality jobs. They generate spin-offs into civilian tech and industries. And they are exactly what is needed to do, as you say, to level up the economy, to provide opportunities outside of the big cities.
OK, Lord Walney, really good to have you on the programme this morning. Thank you very much for joining us on GB News Breakfast. Thank you.
Great to see you. Let's cheer ourselves up, should we, with a load of money. A big pile of cash, £60,000 in tax-free cash could be yours, plus...
a real gold bar worth over £5,000. Here are all of the details that you need.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you can win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck.
Now, still to come, the government's announcing a series of reforms to maternity care. We'll talk to the MP Rosie Duffield about what she makes of the plans next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Loads of you getting in touch on Andy Burnham and his plans for number 10 in the North. One viewer's been in touch saying, number 10 North. I can just see the Speaker of the House now. The Prime Minister can't be with us today due to a train strike.
Yeah, I mean, quite how it's going to work, I don't know. Susan says, I don't want a really cool Prime Minister. I want a leader who puts the whole country first, not just the North, and who defends our borders. She wants a general election now.
Yeah, John says the defence plan won't even touch the size of what we really need to keep our country and our brave armed forces personnel safe. And that's exactly why John Healey and Al Carnes resigned, didn't they?
Yeah, it is. And it was interesting talking to former Chief of the General Staff, Richard Dannett, a little bit earlier on, saying, especially when it comes to there's not enough money, not by a long shot, in the dip, but also this idea of building drones, autonomous ships and all the rest of it. Great, but you need that alongside the destroyers and frigates, not instead of.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what the extra money should be going towards.
And finally, one here saying Burnham will wilt like a lettuce once he actually has to face scrutiny.
I don't know. It's just whether he's actually got any real answers. Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates are going to be here from 9:30, as you know, as always. What do you make of it all? I mean, Burnham is a nice man in the flesh, as a lot of politicians are. He's charismatic. He can pull a lot of stuff off. So it's not that he won't have answers. It's just whether any of those answers are going to be properly thought through. I think.
Well, I can't recall a Prime Minister-elect who's 3 weeks from being Prime Minister having a major speech, having all the press there, and refusing to take a single question. It's
very odd.
Is that because he can't answer the questions? I think it is. And that's worrying.
Or do you think he's just used to being a Greater Manchester mayor and not having to face scrutiny, being out of the Westminster bubble?
And he was a cabinet minister for a few years. We also have to remind people, this man was twice rejected by Labour MPs for the leadership of the Labour Party in 2010 and 2015. What's changed?
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly got a lot of reading to do because, unlike Keir Starmer, he's not been in the House of Commons for the last few years, gathering information on all the different policies. I did think what was really interesting, though, is his focus on localism, and it sounded very much like the Boris Johnson levelling up agenda, which, of course, people did vote for in 2019. It never happened. I think people, particularly in the North, like the idea of being more equal with the South and London. If he can pull that off, I do think that would be an extraordinary feat, and it's what people want.
I'm not against that. As a Northerner, I'm not against that at all. It's just what I can't see from it is what, on the surface, the benefits, and the number 10 North, what are the actual tangible benefits of doing that? Because there's no point in doing it if it's not going to make a difference.
No, but I think the point he made is that we are the most centralised country in the Western world. That is absolutely a fact. Our local mayors, our local politicians, our local government do not have the same power and the same kudos as they do in other countries. And that's something that really does need to change if local areas are going to improve, and something he does have experience
But this focus on localism, we've got big questions about global questions, don't we? China, AI, defence, none of which have been answered.
Defence was mentioned only fleetingly yesterday in his speech. He did not mention immigration once, astonishing, and he did not mention the NHS, which is busted, in my view. Busted completely. The other thing we're going to be talking about is this extraordinary plan by the Home Secretary is announcing today. Oh, these asylum seekers can have to repay £10,000 to the taxpayer if they've got a job, but it will be means-tested, and if they say they can't afford it, OK, you don't have to pay it. It's an absurd, unworkable idea.
And 10 years after being granted asylum, only 20% of asylum seekers have decent work, so it sounds unlikely ever.
And it was an idea also put forward by the Conservative Party last year, and it was rejected in the House of Commons by, guess who? This Labour government. So this is another sign of desperation just before Starmer.
Does that mean it's going to be hard for the Tories to argue against it, though?
Well,
they're saying they've nicked our idea. So they will support it, I suppose. But I had such a good lot of time for the Home Secretary, Siobhan Reid. I thought she was one of the good guys in there. But I think in the last few days we've heard a lot of old...
Is she cowering under the prospect of a Burnham government?
Oh, she seems all over the place, like you say.
Is she fighting for her job? Who knows?
Well.
Because the Prime Minister-elect won't answer any of our questions.
Well, that's all coming up on Britain's Newsroom. Plenty more to come. But first of all, we are going to go to your weather forecast. Let's see if it's going to heat up again.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Showers will affect many northern areas with a risk of thunderstorms. Relatively dry, though, through today across the south and east, but a bit of a windier day for many western areas. That's thanks to an area of low pressure out to the north and west of the UK. That will drag in spells of rain through much of the day, particularly across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've had quite a lot of rainfall overnight. Some of these showers will push into parts of Wales, southwestern England through this afternoon as well. There is a risk of some thundery downpours as well in there, risk of lightning as well. In the south and east, it should remain relatively dry and bright through the day, and we'll feel relatively warm in the sunshine with temperatures climbing towards 25 degrees. Now into this evening, the showers push further eastwards into more central areas of England. Further north and across parts of Scotland, still a pretty unsettled end to the day, risk of some quite heavy downpours as well as that continued lightning risk across parts of Northern Ireland as well. More western areas of Northern Ireland a little bit drier. Starting to see a bit of a change by the end of the day, but I think these showers across more central areas of England also bring a risk of thunderstorms into this evening. Those showers will continue eastwards overnight, pushing into more eastern areas of England for a time, though they do start to fade away once the sun goes down. And for most of us, it's going to be a pretty dry and clear night, though cloud will thicken across more western areas, particularly across the coast and the high ground. Could see some drizzly rain overnight, but across many eastern areas, clear skies for many. So a bit of a fresher night across the east into tonight. Further west, though, still relatively mild. Plenty of cloud around across western areas through Wednesday. Some hazy sunshine further south, particularly into the afternoon after a pretty fine start to the day. There's a risk of the odd shower into the afternoon across anywhere really across the UK, but just look relatively light. And then more heavy rain pushes into parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland by the end of the day. But it is going to be another warm day with temperatures climbing to 26 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News. Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M25 clockwise in Surrey, congestion between junctions 5 and 7 causes 1.5-hour delays. The A50 eastbound in Stoke-on-Trent has 15-minute delays due to heavy traffic, while the M67 eastbound in Tameside faces 10-minute delays with normal traffic expected by 9:30. The M4 eastbound at junction 33 at Capel-Llanilturn has slow traffic due to lane restrictions. On the A11 southbound in Essex, lanes are closed after a serious collision, with normal conditions expected by 2:15 p.m. And on the trains, Hull Trains and Northern continue experiencing delays. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here,
It's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this chap made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
More people are now tuning in to GB News.
They shape our programmes, we try and incorporate them in our shows as much as we can.
Our audience are really interactive.
My listeners, our viewers, they're growing. And that's because they tell their friends and family about what we're doing here at GB News.
It feels like the depth of that connection has strengthened as well.
Thank you so much for speaking to us on GB News.
Come and say hello to everybody that's here from GB News.
It's been an exceptional event.
We've come a long way here now.